Okay, I see Kathy's name up there, so. Look around.
Should be good.
All right. All right, so I have 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we have Kathy Gray on the phone and all other board members here, so we have a call. All right, our first agenda item is to review and approve the minutes of October 19th, our regular monthly board meeting. Anybody, I guess, all board members had a chance to comment and send in input, which I assume they're all incorporated. Any other additions? Yep.
I'll make a motion if you're ready for that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, second by Steve. All right, any other additions or comments to the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes for October 19th, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll assume Kathy raised her hand. Okay, let's see. Minutes of October 26th, a special call meeting, had several things left over from the October 19th meeting we wanted to try to resolve, and they kept growing. So again, very thorough job by Jim Fox. He have a motion to approve the minutes for the 26th. So moved. Ma'am, second by Jim Adams. Any comments, additions, corrections to those minutes? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, those minutes are approved as well. Financial update from Clark.
To the PowerPoint. October was another really good month. From a revenue standpoint, we did 432,500 versus a budget of 391,500. Expenses were 459,134 versus a budget of 420,250 or 520. You can see the budget was a negative budget for that month, about 33,000, and we were only negative for 26,700. Actual to budget for the revenue side was 40 greater. Actual expenses to budget was higher than by 34 for a net increase of $6,200. Big key here, year to date, we're still $150,000 to the good all around. This is 4 months into a 6-month budget. Major revenue contributors were building permits, about 2,200. That was 3 lots. And if you look at the year-to-date numbers on building permits, it's really good. From a revenue standpoint, food and beverage sales were up 12. However, expenses were up 10. But when you spend 10 to get 12, you have inventory carrying forward. So there's more inventory there than there is that was sold, cost of goods sold. So that's really proud of our membership for using our lots. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal, especially in these times. Green fees, again, we're up almost $3,000 in the month of October. Newsletter ads, again, Pete, thank you. Keeping those ads coming in. Most of that is probably renewed, but those are new ads that are renewing, that were unbudgeted. So that's a really good turn on that. Miscellaneous income was a big deal again. We had 21 lot sales for resale certificates. That's $2,100, and then we had one lot constitution, which brought in $16,100, which was a big driver there. All of these items are in really good shape on a year-to-date basis. Expense highlights, public works. Year-to-date is good, but they went over budget a little bit on mechanicals and some fire department repairs, fire department building repairs. Golf course, we had some salary and benefits issues and some mechanicals and roller repairs. And irrigation was a pretty substantial deal there. Here's the lodge food service was $10,000. That contributed to that 12 on the revenue side, as you saw. And administration, we had some audit and tax prep numbers, salaries and benefits. We bought 2 new laptops, and there's some other miscellaneous items in there that were unanticipated.
Well, those are unbudgeted or just not getting them?
They were unanticipated. They were over budget.
So it's not just somewhere else in the budget here.
No, they're not over budget. In our reserve funding, our balance is almost $1,591,000. It's down $67,800. The CARP balance is $423,203, down 35, and the lake management reserve balance is $72,808, and it's up $18,184, which is 1 month's contribution. Delinquent accounts are increased by about $2,000. 30 days, there's 28 accounts. 60, there's 6 accounts, and over 90, there's 12. I understand, Crystal, there's one big one in there playing games with us.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If we get rid of that, it drops by about $12,000.
It's a big number. One account is about 12. Indian Creek Volunteer Fire Department, the opt-in for us collecting their, 8 bucks a month or whatever it is, 161 total members are in there on a monthly basis. Next slide, I think, cash balances. Checking at Pro State and payroll and tavern accounts, $555,000. Reserve funds, which is our contingency and security deposits also, $2,368,000. Total of all funds is $2,923,500.
Are we going to audit review? Okay, yes, before that. On the resident report, like our top page, under the park expenses, there's a 70 unbudgeted, 70K for a work condition on year-to-date budget. But is that just again, a timing of where park expenses actually occur?
And I think that's the, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
It's actually under, large food, is that right? Okay, looking at it.
The expense side,
Say again,
the expense or revenue?
it's on the expense.
Okay.
It's got, 5,966 actual, but for budget is zero. What is that?
That was an additional food inventory. That's a change in food inventory.
What was that?
Over budget.
Over budget. Same thing for the change in liquor.
Yep.
So we have more food.
Right. And
And to
that's,
buy more food, we've sold more.
that's correct. We spent 10 to serve 12. Anything else?
Point of order, just clarification, with new counsel in the room. The one outstanding balance on the delinquency account is in the process, within the process of collection. However, there's been significant backlog with the court system on that, so it's not due to a lack of change in counsel or change in direction. It's a timing issue within the county clerk's process with that. So just a point for everyone on.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Clark,
You want to do that?
any further questions for?
Maybe our point, I mean, this report on delinquents is in there, which is something we don't normally get, but I think the point of it, I guess, was how good shape it. I mean, I compared it back to, history, kind of, it's for as small as we've been in years.
Really good shape.
Very responsible members.
Yeah. And we actually get pretty good revenue from late fees. So, it's a revenue source too. I didn't say that. Okay,
Review the audit or?
yeah, let's do the audit report now.
How you feel? All right, audit looked really good, folks. I would point you to a lot of assessing entries, most of which are schools and depreciation. And I think you can figure that out as you look through there. Point you to one, thing with our cash, statement of cash. Page 3. It's 3 in your board package. It's 5 of the report that I have. Because I looked at it independent of the board package. You'll recall we talked a little bit about when we were going to fund the software, the new software, and when we were funding the microphones and this, that, and the other. One of the things that I talked about was the amount of surplus O&M cash is added June 30, 2020, all right? And that number I gave you at that time was an unaudited number. And the number I gave you at that time was 54,227. If you look at from the operating fund only, I'll get to that and replacement funds and everything else. From operating fund, a net decrease in cash is 56,093. So we're $1,600 off. Bristol and I will find it. Not exactly sure what it is, but we'll go through this cash sources and uses. Maybe there's something in there that you might want to think of. It's $1,600. I want to report that. That's important. And so what they're telling you here is surplus for the year should be 56,000. And we're reporting 54.
Clark, as I remember from Charlie's descriptions in previous years, after the auditors go through, they make some adjustment related to depreciation or amortization, less income taxes, I think, and come up with a number that you larger than this. I mean, it would usually make that.
Well, one of the things that they did is they established, one of the things that caught my eye, is they made us establish a allowance for capital accounts.
Right.
$1,000, 9%.
Yeah, that's new.
That's good.
Okay.
And that's $10,000. That's an expense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to look at that.
Mhm.
All right. That's all new, but if you look at all those other adjusting interests, for the most part, there were two errors, but for the most part, they're all depreciation.
Okay. And I was always confused by how that affects the bottom line in.
Obviously, it's $1,600.
Maybe. Maybe that's it.
We'll go find it. I don't know where the 1,600 is, but we'll find it.
Okay.
It's already there. Okay, so that's the recommendation. If we already have an allowance.
I think we did, I'll have to look at that.
Did they add it back in before they took the new in? That's gonna be a question for us.
That's the other question,
In other words, did they take the old allowance,
right?
throw it into the cash account, and then
And give us the.
rebook a new in?
Right.
That could be my $1,600.
We don't have it in the current budget either, probably right now.
That could be my $1,600. Yeah. I mean, we'll figure it out.
And then what we need to make adjustments to this.
We might. We have several budget items for, we're probably gonna look at the 12-month year. More than we are the 6-month period. At making some adjustments into some of the things that we approved in the budget process. Right, Crystal?
That is correct.
But,
We got a lot of work to do.
right, but the 10,000 is kind of like a reserve account, just in case.
It's an allowance for doubt.
And assuming we don't have any that we actually write off,
Correct.
that carries forward.
Right.
We wouldn't have to like carve out a whole nother 10,000
No.
for the next.
No, well, I mean, if we had a $20,000 loss,
That's right, right.
we
Yeah.
would.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's just the allowance. It's that when you experience a loss, you charge that 10 grand, that way it doesn't hit your books. It doesn't hit your O&M
Right.
on a recurring basis. You get that number.
I've taken that with 10,000.
If we don't have a budget already.
I thought we did, and I'm thinking that they may have thrown that money back in and rebooked an allowance. And what I'd like to find out is that old allowance for doubtful accounts was 11,600.
I'll look into it and we can.
Okay, great.
Okay. Crystal, when we have some letters in there, they're looking for somebody to sign. It looks like it's me, I guess, will sign that. So
Yeah.
when do you think y'all will be ready to do that?
Clark and I and Brian are supposed to meet on Wednesday, so probably towards the end of the week or first next week, it will be out in June.
I'm leaving on Saturday. So if you need me to sign something Thursday or Friday, we can do it.
Did we get the legal letter from Les?
Or do we need James to know?
It's as of 6:30. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's gotta be, Les Sweet's gotta do that. We need that letter. Part of the secondary point.
That was one of my questions I was gonna ask, because at 6:30, Les was still our attorney on file. So I didn't know if he's the one that's supposed to fill
He
it out.
would do that letter.
Okay.
He would do that letter.
So that may alter the date for signature, so if yours not, we'll be set.
Okay,
Fine, okay?
okay. And otherwise, I can do it.
How long are you gone?
Yeah.
3 weeks. But, you know, I'll have a laptop with me, you'll,
And I'm trying to say it's really good because I looked at like last year's audit and we didn't sign off on, we did our final audit back in
okay,
We're good.
right. Okay,
Anything else on the audit? Great, thank you.
One question, on the, in the bunch, it talks about the loan, whatever loan.
PPP.
Yep, but it never talks about that, we get that back,
maybe.
but it's a maybe, but it's a maybe, so they can't count it.
They cannot count it at this point.
Right. So that's
So
why
it is a liability. It is a liability.
And when, when is the process to apply for that?
First State Bank is currently doing their larger borrower customers on the PPP right now. There's apparently a new form that keep adjusting. The Congress keeps amending that.
So
whole
there'll
deal.
be a process down the road.
Process down the road.
We can-
Doing everything above 150,000 right now, we're on the 80. So then they'll probably step down to 100 and they'll do all those and then they'll get.
Other questions about the audit? All right, thanks, Clark, thanks, Crystal. Let's see. Kathy, I don't know if we can hear Kathy or not. Is there a way for us to hear Kathy talk on the COVID-19? Any updates?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get started.
I guess there's no way
Put a
to,
microphone next.
oh, yeah, here we go. Microphone, yelling.
Can you hear me?
Is the mic on the laptop down
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Talk louder.
Can you hear me?
Like when I press the mic, it goes down.
Or when you press the mic, the volume goes down?
Yeah.
Huh.
there? Oh, that one working.
I know last time we had.
The microphones are.
Can you hear me now?
Laptop.
Hello, is that better?
A little, that was better.
Can you hear me? I put my earbuds on, so I'm talking to that mic.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Is that better?
Yes,
Okay, you ready for me to start?
please.
As of November 13th, which was Friday, Cook County had 179 active COVID cases. Total for Cook County is 1,021. Gainesville has 71 active, Callisburg 2, Lindsay 7, Munster 24, unincorporated is at 71. As of today, Lake Iowa has 10 active cases. Total deaths in Cook County is now at 12. Dallas County has 13,400 active cases. Tarrant has 9,500. Collin has 2,100. Denton has 1,100. State of Texas confirmed cases, 1,020,000. And active is 131,800. Total fatalities in Texas, 19,559. As you can see, the numbers are going up across Texas, and I'm sure you've heard all the news. Right now, Cook, as of, I think, Friday, had 19 recovered cases. Laboratory confirmed cases was at 46. Residents currently hospitalized is at 16, which for our size hospital, that's not a good number. They have opened up the COVID drive-through testing again, Tuesday through Thursday this week, Monday and Tuesday next week. And that is free testing, and you'll get your results in 2 to 5 days. And anybody have any questions on the numbers or?
None on the numbers.
Well,
Any,
obviously, we're going up. Wednesday, a week ago, we were at 3, and now we're back at 10, so we're double digits again. And so I wanted to discuss, I've had a few calls from concerned members because the numbers are up, and there was a lot of rumors about having 20 and 30 cases. That would be total that Kiowa has had since March, not a current active. So I think there's probably a little confusion out there, but still the numbers are going up. We're going into holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas. I've had some people concerned about members not wearing masks at the lodge. And you know, if you're eating, that's one thing, but just going through, they're not wearing their mask. I don't know if we want to, we can certainly send out more reminders. But if we're not going to enforce, I don't know that there's a point to doing that. But we've got members that are concerned that golfing seems to be maybe a little lax. The non-related people in the golf carts, do we want to be maybe a little more proactive? I know Walmart announced today they're reducing the number of customers to 20% of what is allowed in the store. I think you'll probably see some of the larger retailers do follow suit, and that's across the country, not just Texas. So any thoughts that we do something maybe a little more proactively rather than wait for the cases to continue going up?
who would you suggest how would we increase enforcement within the lodge? Just the lodge manager or?
Well, that's always been our issue, Rick, is that we didn't want to put the employees in that position. I still feel like we shouldn't. I don't know if Brian feels differently. We haven't had those discussions.
Policing a human behavior in a private setting in which we are can only be supported by a mandate or directive of the board of directors. It can't be, we wish you would wear a mask, we want you to, it's in the best interest. And anything gray, the staff loses. It makes it untenable. And the residents that are on the other side of the room witnessing this, that want that enforcement, become very deflated and concerned. The golf area, candidly, is where we're weaker than we are in the tavern with behavior. Perhaps a candid conversation needs to have happened, like, what do we need to do to ratchet this up on, testing temperatures, wearing a mask, things like that for the golf course, which once they go off the first tee, what sort of enforcement is there? It's zero. I'm not about to sit here and say, oh, we'll send a bunch of marshals out and spend a lot of money. That's not the answer to the cure. It's clear that our community has become taken a step back in its resiliency to wear masks and carry on and distancing and all the protocols you guys did such a great job with. From my vantage point as a new kid on the block, and now the residents are, this is about over, or whatever they're thinking. I don't want to put words in people's mouths.
Everybody's tired of it throughout the country.
Absolutely.
Throughout the world, probably.
And,
So we do, yeah, we probably get lax, we probably get tired of it.
because this curve, it's not a curve. It's a ramp, burst, whatever adjective you want to use.
Randy, what do you think about the golf course?
The one place you can't catch it's outside. That's almost proven.
Yeah.
With all the riots and all the rallies and all the stuff, and this is a low percentage. I don't know if you worry about outside, that's just my personal view. Inside, we already do what you want to do.
We already allow, we're already, on the golf course, we're saying everybody rides in separate carts. People may abuse that, but that's their choice to sit with somebody else. And I don't know what else everybody.
Well, one thing, we're going to cart path only soon, right? Can we go back to the 5 carts allowed?
We talked about the golf committee and it was 100% no. Because once you can't train people going back and forth, it gets, because you're gonna wear the, around the edge of the cart path, that 20% more. They want to keep it at 4 and just play horses, but that's what you want to do. Protect the golf course, but
That's what they
again, that's just a recommendation of the committee. There's 9 people here that are gonna make the decision, so.
Okay. Any other thoughts? I guess Pete, you got your hand up. You want to make a comment?
Yeah, my own personal opinion, like you said, we're going back to, golf, or, paths only come December 1st. I think we should go back to 5 carts if you're gonna allow 5s out there. And I think you also should go back to some of the other procedures that you had of turning the flag holders upside down so that the ball doesn't go way down and people have to pick it up or take out the flag, as well as, what was the other? Oh, you're gonna, it's freezing weather soon, so take the ball washers back out, go back to that level.
Yeah, the rakes,
Take
take the rakes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are good ideas. The other thing about the colder weather, the people have the enclosed carts. Now you are, if there are 2 people sharing one, the doors and everything. Yeah, that is bad. So I personally would rather see us go to 5 carts. Other thoughts? Board members?
I'm fine with the cart rule either way. I mean, I like to rely not to for golf course, but I think we can handle that and tell people to stay on the cart path. As far as the other rules, I think we ought to follow I think it's something on TV, the science or something, and follow what the governor is, are the rules around the state, what they're doing for golf courses. If they change the rules, we should follow whatever is being advised there.
A note on cart path only, the enforcement of that would require something that I personally really dislike, and that's ropes. Having ropes up and down the side of the course with that, forcing to do that, it looks bad. But brace yourself, guys and gals, that's probably the next thing that we're going to hear in the golf course industry, that, okay, cart path, that's great, but keep them there.
We follow it pretty close.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is the lead problem, because I think people stay on the cart path. It's not say 5 cars, it's just that you get a lot more cars pulling off and doing damage. Personally, I think if that's the price we pay for having to try to be safe, then it's an expense to try to recover from it, but I don't know, I don't find that to be the same as driving.
Remember though that when we're on cart path only, we're really not on cart path only. We've allowed the 90-degree crossover on half the whole area. It gets abused extensively. When people are trying to cross on number 2 to go from right, you'll see people that go up to the edge of the pond. You'll see people that go where the ropes cut right now in the point. So it's really an enforcement problem. Yes, from last year, I remember talking about Brown and Brian about what we got to do about this, and if you're going to do that, you got to increase marshal time, or at least have help, or at least people think there's going to be a marshal out there.
I'll tend to agree with what Jim said for a while.
Is there any
Yes,
opportunity?
sir.
Back in the spring, when I checked the T-sheet, only 1 and 5 groups were 5-some. However, when talking with Brown, I said not every 5-some is documented on the T-sheet. So it might be 1 and 3, but we're not talking about every group. At most, probably 1 and 3.
So not a big significant increase in carts, you said.
That's my point.
Okay.
But you also, like on poll two, what Randy's talking about, why not move the entry place to cut across?
Oh, that's what,
Weekly or a monthly basis,
That's
so
what
that
Brian's
the wear and
talking
tear
Right.
doesn't occur.
Yeah.
Right now, it stays in the same place all the time, and of course, you're going to have that kind of damage take place. Move it around every week to 2 weeks.
All right, so we don't really have an action item under this, but we can, I guess, send instructions to Brian and Brown to at least flip over the cups, take the rakes out, cover up the,
See, I disagree with that. I'm with Jim. We should do what the governor says on the golf course. If y'all want to change the golf cart rule, that's up to y'all, but we should be right where the governor's at. Whatever his rules are for every golf course in the state of Texas, that's what we should be.
do you think he has any addressing those?
He's left them the same. There hasn't been any. We were like that earlier.
I mean, does the governor say those things specifically on golf courses? I can't remember.
They did. They started out, he changed it.
He changed them.
If they were worried about it, they'll take it back.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll just leave it like it is and see how those change. Okay. So next month, when we put this on the agenda item, yeah, let's put on there and take possible action that would allow us to at least take a vote if we needed to. Kathy, anything else?
No, that's pretty much it on COVID.
Okay. I do think more messages from Leanne right now would be appropriate.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
We didn't know.
Yeah, it changes all the time.
I know, but what I'm saying is everybody's saying it's either 2 or 20.
Right,
You know,
right.
Can we have her put that in her report? You know, things are up, even Iowa is having an increase. I think we need to let people know.
But it changes every day.
I know.
That's the problem. When last I heard, Kathy did not want to be responsible for updating something every day. Kathy, is that right? The question is, should we publish the current amount of cases within the community?
We can certainly do that. I'd have to ask Ray Fletcher if he would be kind enough to give us those numbers on a daily basis. Maybe we do it weekly with Leanne's
Okay,
Sunday.
right. Okay, so let's go on and do it weekly then, communicate it through Leanne.
Okay, we can do that immediately.
Yeah, I know. I got one of those texts the other day about, I heard there was 30 something, whatever. So,
Right. Lot of rumors.
all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, move on to committee updates. Yes, we didn't put a line item in here for changes to committees. We should have had that. That's kind of a normal thing. People come and go, and I missed that, I'm sorry. Is anybody, I didn't, I know, Mike, we got yours already done, right?
Well, was what you said last week, is that sufficient, or does it have to be a formality done tonight?
Yeah, I guess we should go on and approve them. Give me the two names again, you're adding.
To the Rules Enforcement Committee, we were adding Ken Peichel, P-E-I-C-H-E-L, and Steve Bialas, B-I-A-L-A-S.
Did you have anybody coming off or not?
Not most of it that hasn't already been addressed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, those were the only two that I'm aware of. Do any of y'all have any on your committees? So, I make a motion to add Ken Peichel, Steve Bialas to the Rules Enforcement Committee. Do you have a second? Steve? Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
So, let's see. So that takes us to Safety and Security and Safety Committee. A discussion on the guardhouse at the front gate from Rich and from Sam.
Who's going? I'll start, and then Rich is going to actually do the presentation. As y'all know, we've been talking and got design work from the designer, with all, and they provided all this information. We've had some different input from other individuals that we've looked at. And what we've got now is kind of a preliminary. But it's one of those things where we'd like to get the board up to date as to where we are with it. Because next year, we're going to be wanting to do something. And so we need to start kind of pushing it along a little bit. Then the next thing we're going to cover is the East Gate. This is one of the things that really fits into the whole project, is that East Gate got to be done. And I know we talked about it. I know I gave a presentation. Scott has, and we're to the point now where we need to move along. And Mitch and I were talking. It's going to be inconvenient for residents, regardless of how we do it. And if we do the East Gate, get it done, well, everybody from the east side starts going to the main gate. Then when the time comes for the main gate, Rich will get it and all of this, then we'll have to come up with another plan for the East Gate, but we need to have everything kind of in order. That's what we're trying to do. So I'll turn it over to Rich. He's got the all the charts and the different views. Then get through all the presentation, then it's got the questions. People prove that you ask them to do the questions you might have. Rich?
All right, well, as you can see, that's the rendering. Same location as the existing guardhouse. Some of the main additions is the roof over the lanes and kind of an entry sign for member and guest lane. The materials and the aesthetics are kind of modeled to go after the patio and the pavilion. So you can see there. A couple other things I just want to add is there's a little median area of bushes there, kind of like a service lane for boats and et cetera exiting, as well as a median just forward of the guardhouse, kind of guide traffic. Right now, there's nothing there. That's not a huge issue, but I think it's a nice addition. This is a overall site plan. Again, you can kind of see it's almost the same location, same footprint as the existing guardhouse. It is slightly larger, squaring it off, et cetera, but same basic footprint. And again, we added those medians. You can see them a little bit better from this aerial. And then the additional covered lanes with the roof over both lanes. And then also that signage in front. So here's the plan. Again, same footprint, and you can kind of see the top left corner is what we have as a safe room right now, storage area. We also had it originally planned to be the dual purpose for the existing chiefs, but looking at this, it just doesn't seem like it would be adequate enough space for both the chief's office, storage, servers, all the other things that will have to go into it. Still one bathroom, kitchenette, stations for 3 officers, window, some lockers. And then again, another possible thing we can do with the chief's office, we talked about temporarily moving the chief to the POA office. We have an extra office right there now, but we're kind of tight on space. So we're also looking at possibly after the zoning, the lodge or the log home at the beginning of the front gate. A lot of people have been talking about possibly purchasing that and using that building as a POA office or additional office space. So possibly utilizing that, but that's just a thought. And then we also want to maybe add a lobby to the front. Again, this is an option that's gone back and forth. We don't want people just entering into the guardhouse. So if people do want to stop in and do any kind of service with the security agents to have them a closed area for them to work, and just a little, service window, again, similar to the POA office. And then also we talked about possibly widening the lanes. Don't know if that's necessary. They are adequate, but the issues right now with hitting some of the ballards, so and may want to, we have the room on the side to make them slightly larger. Again, this is just an aerial view. You can kind of see the footprint of the guardhouse, where the lobby would go, and the roof over the lanes. A couple elevations again, the front and the side. And then you can kind of see the semi truck. That's about a scale version to it. The curb to curb is 10 feet, which is normal. The top of the stacks is at 14 feet or 13.6, which is DOT standard. 8'6" by 13.6 is the standard size. That's for the gate entry. Again, a guest resident lane. They have the clearance bars set, post cedar, the little columns, stone to match, again, the same aesthetics as the patio and the pavilion. Here we have, if we do relocate the chief to the POA office, we could add a quick entry lane, just a gate and across to the parking lot for ease of access. And then keep the member lane open during construction. We could add a construction temporary building to keep the member lane open. Obviously, at least one lane will have to be closed during construction. And then the existing radio tower also have to be relocated. Again, we have the two lots, the parking lot and the lot with the sign. But before we all do that, like Sam said, one of the most important things probably to do first would be to get the east gate upgrade done, with adding the member lane and upgrading the guard arms to give that flexibility of relocating and shifting traffic to the east gate. And then probably have a temporary guard check there during construction as well. Again, this was actually, like Sam presented it, Scott presented it. The board had reviewed it and said to proceed, although that was kind of a gray area to proceed. We didn't have definitive goal in mind to proceed as far as we have bids. We have bids for a few different, we can do the lanes in concrete or we can do them in asphalt. So depending on what we choose, I believe the bids range from 30,000 to 75,000, depending on the options we take. So again, it's allocating what options we want, funds available, and how to proceed with this. Any other questions or comments?
So the big difference is concrete versus asphalt? Is that?
And that is, I believe.
I had a question.
Asphalt, I assume we
Hold on. Kathy,
need a lot more maintenance.
go ahead, Kathy.
With the employees, you said it was going to be suitable for 3. Would they have 6 feet of spacing with 3 across that front room?
Across the front room, we had planned on possibly having a guard in between plexiglass. But also, yeah.
So you can get the spacing?
You can get the spacing. That's actually quite wide at the front. It's about 15
Okay,
feet
good.
across.
Thank you.
And it all depends how they sit. I mean, obviously, you'd have to make sure your seat's a little bit further
Right.
up. But also, most of the time, it's only intended to have 2 officers in there.
Right.
It's kind of more of the officer will be at the screens on one, if somebody came in, that could slide over to the member service location.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Sure.
We don't have the corner. We can bring it
Yeah.
down.
We'll see.
Just so everybody can kind of know what the plan, as you can see here, okay. What I'm touching, what?
Okay, there you go.
There we go. This is an example, this is like a commercial tractor trailer coming in. The plan is, at this point, is to move the gate up a little bit further than what it is now. We'll be getting rid of the gates as such. There'll be arms that 4 second,
Yeah, approximately.
4 second arms that go up and down to let people in a little bit faster. This center lane here will be a resident-only lane. And it'll be the same thing, 4 second arms that will go up and down to get people in faster. The exit will be just like it is now, not any change there. Only problem that we saw was merging, and this is gonna be the same thing as we have the main gate right now. We have to merge. So that would be a similar type situation.
Are there two sets of arms to keep people from tailgating in?
Well, that's one of the things that we've discussed as to whether, do we want to have 2 arms, or do we want to have just one to get in? We've kind of gone back and forth on that. We've had some residents say, oh, we got to have 2 arms. We got, but then again, if we have one, but you have even tailgating there. So it's something that has, we've got to really come up with how are we going to do it. So right now it's still in discussion, and we're open for anything, Jim.
And one of the things that we discussed was wiring or whatever conduit or whatever, and setting it up where you could have a second gate. You didn't have to go back and reinstall the electricity or whatever it was and try it with one gate. And if you have any kind of problem, you already have everything set up to do the conduit sheet.
Right.
So that would be an option there.
Yeah, that would be an option that we could use, yeah. So, anyway, I just wanted to kind of explain how it was going to work. It'll be stopped back here is where this gate will be for this vehicle coming in. The resident gate will be here. And the way it'll be set up too, like if it's not a commercial truck, we'll have two entrances, residents. So it's doubling the amount of space that we'll have coming into there.
And the gate arms are about, I don't know, what are they, 30 seconds now, over 30 seconds?
Yeah,
So you're cutting it down drastically.
Yeah, I think Charlie had checked out what we have now. It takes 30 seconds to get in with the gate and the arm, whereas this will be a 4 second arm. Be a whole lot faster.
What's that improvement percentage?
600%? Oh.
When a truck comes in, are we gonna make them go right?
Yes, yeah, this will be commercial.
Through, after we're through and everything, everybody will go right?
Oh, you mean down here?
Yes.
No, look, we discussed that as far as coming in and going down Iroquois. But the thinking is we'll continue to go the way we're doing now with the truck. Any other questions?
The trucks, is there a call box right now? Or is that how they get in and they can say, hey, I'm over here at the east gate?
They check in at the front gate right now, and then they watch them on video. And when they approach, they open up the arm for them.
Check in on phone or?
No, they usually go there and check in, or they can check in on phone too if they've already kind of set up that they're coming in. But the guardhouse has to know that they have authority to come in, if they have a permit, et cetera. Likewise, when you approach the front gate, you'll see the sign that says, to check in, or there's a sign at the east gate that says, go to the front gate to check in first.
There's a sound system to the car now. So if somebody pulls up, they can talk to the car.
I don't think so.
No.
No. Yeah.
And tell them, you gotta go to the front.
Yeah. That's why I said people call on their own phone when they've already set it up. Like when, I know when contractors are pouring a foundation, they'll go in and check one time and they'll say, here's all these concrete trucks. That's all every concrete truck does. It has to go to the front gate. So the first guy will check in and then all the concrete trucks will follow behind because they're expecting them, and they'll call in when they're coming in.
But that's for a semi, drive up to the guardhouse and check in and then go to the east gate.
That's what they do, yeah.
How do they get out? Where do they turn around?
They turn around in front. I mean, hopefully either that, sometimes they go into member lane and stop there. But I mean, it's not a good setup right now. Right now, except likewise when they pull through, they have to be able to turn around.
Yeah, go.
Most of them know how to turn around before they enter.
To the plan that they have. The way they have it designed now, they would, if they came in and couldn't come into the facility and then go to the east side, there'll be a turnaround here to where they can get through.
That's why I said most of
It's gonna
them,
be tight.
most of them will see it and they'll turn in front of the building
Yeah, they
and then go
turn-
check.
Most of them will turn right in here.
And that's if they know they have to go over the bridge, but that's the biggest problem. They need to go to the east gate because they can't drive over the bridge. If lots of times they can still enter through the main if they want to stay on the west side, but they got to go from the east side. It's easier for them to drive around and go to the east gate.
Right. Is the new bridge weight limited for trucks? The new bridge on the west side?
Yes,
It's
that one doesn't have the same weight limit as the one by the dam. The one at the dam, I think, is only 14,000.
right. But with the new one, I mean,
Yeah,
do any of them ever go all the way around?
yeah, sometimes. That's what I said. If they don't want to go to the east gate, they'll come in that way. They have to drive all the way around. But I mean, that's a lot of wear and tear on the roads too.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing when I tell, especially when they're pouring foundations, to come to the east side to cut down on traffic.
The average car visitor, they don't come in on the east side.
The average resident vehicle,
Yeah, just a visitor. Can they come in on the east side and pull into
the guest,
the guest lane? No. They
No.
have
they still would have to check in.
But they
You only can get in with the toll tag, or you have to check in first. And there's no reason to do that really. If you're coming in, the guest just comes in the front gate.
That's one of the problems we have now on GPS systems and on vehicles, takes everybody to the east gate.
They can't get in. They have to go back. Yeah.
Yeah, so several times I've waited, and they're just sitting and looking until I get out and go up and say, hey,
You know,
are you visiting?
huge signs up there says.
Yeah.
You know,
You got to go check in at the front gate first.
And this is gonna go to my point, I'm gonna make some other things in a minute, but we put a communication system over there. We have a video screen going back this way. Why not put a
Well,
video, a monitor and a communication microphone on that?
Well, again, going forward, if we go to the new North Star system and the new gates, the idea is, people can send a pass on their phone and they can actually just scan on there and come in on the east gate. So a lot of it has to do with the upgrade.
You've got to have that, but if you don't, you still have a way to communicate back to the security to let you in.
Yeah.
Seems like an appropriate addition. Right. Or you give
Well,
them a phone number
you gotta have to have the
call.
phone
Yeah.
number there, yeah.
An intercom system at some time right there, they can
I've got one thing to add.
say hello.
Hold on.
welcome home,
Okay.
ask them where they're going.
Kathy said something.
That's in the plans.
Go ahead, Kathy.
It is in the plans.
With the technology we're looking at, it had several options for us for the East Gate, so we would never have to station a guard out there. And they have like similar to an ATM machine, and you would literally talk to the guard at the guardhouse from the East Gate. That's an option. There's quite a few things we could do, but we wanted to get the new technology in, get the throughput, and then determine, do we need to go ahead and buy one of those systems to sit there? They could scan their phone, they could talk to the guard, because you don't want them sitting there too long, because obviously you get two semis and we're backing up on 211. So we've got to be careful.
Let me mention just too, again, going back, this is a design that was given to us, that engineers or architect came up with. One of the things they recommended is to put an arm here for exiting. Now, we've had some people say that would be okay. We've had some say, hey, we don't need that. We don't do it now. Why do we need to have a gate there? So this is something that really needs to be discussed as far as the design that we've been given by the company. So we'll be looking into that too. If you have any feedback on it, we're open.
I think that's important that security thinks people are running the gate coming in on the opposite side, otherwise I wouldn't think it's a security. If it's not a security hole, then.
We probably have a couple of those a year, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mike Brendo, you got a comment?
Yeah, Rick, to your point on tailgating, given the new plan looks to be allowing for 2 lanes of traffic coming into the new East Gate, I'd like to think that we would go with 2 gates. Since we're increasing the amount of flow that way, I'd like to think that one of the options from the Safety and Security Committee is not something that makes us less safe and secure. Tailgating is the issue.
Right. You know, my comment, is kind of like Jim Adams. Now would be the time to really address that communications and video between the east gate and the front gate. And so to minimize the amount of big trucks in particular that have to do that turnaround. So now would be the time to address it, I would say. Right. Make sure that's really effective. Yeah, cut down on that stuff. So, Pete?
My question would be towards the east gate. The entrance there, and Sam, I love the idea of either $25,000 or $70,000 in concrete or asphalt. But would asphalt hold up to the weight of tractor trailers as well as concrete trucks versus would the concrete hold up better? So we didn't have to replace it nearby.
That's one of the things that, Scott's looking at, I think Rich too, particularly on the side where the trucks would come in, use concrete there, which is what we did up here at the main gate. And then for the other, we could use asphalt. So, yeah, that's gonna be really good.
Okay.
Thank you. Jim Potts?
One more question. The lobby is, we showed it, the red box. They have not designed the lobby. We're just questioning whether or not we really still need one. But that would obviously increase the expense.
Yeah, could I just make
Jim Adams?
point? Rich alluded to it earlier, that with the recent rezoning vote that failed, there's a property that's available, and when there was a town hall meeting on that subject, that at least in that town hall, it's pretty obvious there's a lot of people in the community that would support the POA acquiring that piece of property. And if we acquired that piece of property, I think that opens up a lot of options for us on the security building, on a POA office building. And we may not, and I know I threw when I say this, there's a wrinkle in this particular plan, but maybe we should step back and think about how to use this money that we set aside for a guard check. And I would say, why do you use a guard in the middle of the street? You're not doing it on the east side. Why couldn't we do the same and do it electronically on the main gate? And treat both gates the same and put the security people in an office building, and not expose them to sitting in the same room, and not expose them to having to deal with the elements. We were worried about a safe room. We probably still need a safe room in the new building, just for equipment and that kind of thing, but we wouldn't need it in that guard shack only. It'd be better served in another place. So I think we ought to step back and relook at the whole thing, and maybe have somebody approach that property, see what we can do with it.
The thing that worries me though is trying to get enough votes to get that passed as well. So we'd have to rezone it, right? We'd have to have another rezoning vote.
I believe we would, you're correct. But I think, to acquire the property, we wouldn't have to get enough votes to acquire the property. Well, we would, it was up to $400,000, but, and we may want to have the community vote on this anyhow, on the whole concept.
Yeah,
That's fine with me.
yeah, we ought, if we're gonna do it, it needs to be
Yeah.
kind of the whole package, and this is what.
That's fair.
Okay, more input for Sam, Rich? Okay, thank you all for the update. Okay, bylaw committee, Corky. Let's get him a microphone. Let's see, Jim, can you, let's see, where's the lights? There, okay, Rich has one.
One, two. All right, this is our fourth time that we've gone over the bylaws. Of course, we're going to have our final meeting, board meeting, where we present any changes that y'all approve in the month of December. We're putting a communique article in December. I think you received 3 handouts. Is that correct? The one that's the communique article that basically complies with 1803. It starts out with important notices. There's a 2-page one. Did y'all get that?
And we didn't get all the stuff in the packet for some reason.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry about that. Should have caught that earlier.
Sam, we didn't send those out, the long version.
What version?
The handout that we made for the board that discusses the 4 changes that I sent to you and Brian.
You said it's blind, so I don't know.
Didn't get the attachment, I apologize for that.
Okay, I will send it directly to the board members. Basically, what we're missing is the first one is a December communique article to comply with bylaw 1803, where we must give the members a 15-day notice before we do the final discussion and approval on a bylaw change. And so we have, in fact, just a little over a page. It's in common language versus technical language. For example, it'll say proposal number 1 is to add the Lake Management Reserve Fund to the oversight responsibilities of the Impartial Ways and Means Committee, and then give a little paragraph. It's the same thing that I presented to you last month, but in the copy that I meant for you to get, and I will send you, gives you a 5-page rather than a 1-page. It gives you a 5-page flush out of these particular changes. It gives you the background, gives you the ballot language, it gives you the explanation. There are no changes in those 4 things that we discussed last month. So you're not looking at them now, so it's hard to see if you have any questions, but I'll just go over them real fast. We recommended that our guidance from the board was to clear up the procedures on how we were to use the Lake Management Reserve Fund, what process we had to go through, and make sure we didn't have to go out for a second vote. So we came up with the 3 proposals just on the Lake Management Reserve Fund. One is to assign oversight responsibility to the Neutral Ways and Means Committee. They currently were set up in 2005 to take care of oversight over the first restricted reserve fund that we had, that's the ARP. And it does allow us to add additional duties to that Ways and Means Committee. And we make it very clear in our article that the Ways and Means Committee cannot be chaired by a board member, which makes it kind of a neutral committee. And then we give you the language that goes with the ballot and the explanation. If the people on the ballot, if they want to see background information, they'll be able to touch another screen, which will take them to the ballot information. But once we get this 5 pages, that gives you the background, the change, the language, etc. If anyone comes to you, any members come to you, you should be able to answer any questions that they have on each of the 3 proposals dealing with the Lake Management Reserve Fund. The second one, proposal number 2, is that we want to make sure that it says in the resolution that the Lake Management Reserve Fund is a restricted fund. And we've added that to the bylaws, but most people don't understand that there has been a restricted fund and a discretionary fund. So what we're saying on proposal number 2 is that the members have just voted to approve the Lake Management Reserve Fund in February of this year. It went into effect in July of this year. And we shouldn't have to have another vote to spend the money that they just approved that we collect. And so we're recommending that we make that very clear to our members. In fact, they'll be voting on it, that this restricted reserve fund, like the other restricted reserve fund, will be exempt from what we call 703Q. That is, the members put on the board a $400,000 ceiling without requesting approval from the members. And the other restricted reserve fund, along with roads and bridges and emergencies, et cetera, are exempt from that. So we're trying to explain that to the members so that this fund is also exempt from the $400,000 limit from 703Q. Proposal number 3 is just to flush out, when we get back into Article 16 of our bylaws, we explain that the board has the ability to set up a reserve fund, but if it's funded from member assessments, they have to get the members' approval. That was the problem that we had a hard time understanding last year when we set up additional reserve funds. But also we're trying now is to simplify that paragraph by saying there are 2 types of reserve funds. There are now 2 restricted reserve funds that are specific just for a single purpose. And the board can't borrow money from that ARP account. They can't borrow money from that restricted lake management reserve fund to build a gymnasium. They are restricted. And so what we're attempting to do is say, all right, restricted reserve funds are not part of the annual maintenance and operations. They are a separate entity on their own. You can't be playing with them. They're just for that specific purpose. And then there are 2 other reserve funds, the CDRF and what's the other one? CARP. And the CARP are discretionary reserve funds that gives their for a particular purpose to build new assets, to remodel, and so forth. And those are at the discretion of the board, with the caveat that y'all don't have the authority to spend more than $400,000 without asking the members. And then proposal number 4 is completely unrelated. And we were given this suggestion by the POA office before Brian, before you got here. That was back in 2008. We said that the president and the treasurer and whoever gets to sign the checks cannot sign a check for over $1,000 without board approval. And what we're doing, recommended here, yes, Mark.
Well, unbudgeted item.
Well, budget items are approved by the board.
That was unbudgeted was in the.
If it's an unbudgeted, not approved by the board, because the budget will be approved by the board. So if it's not approved by the board, not budgeted, they have a limit of $1,000. The POA office asked that we consider moving that to $1,500. It hadn't been changed since 2008. And so there's updates for inflation. It also ties in with the Ways and Means Committee that has that ceiling of $1,500 before it goes on our. Hardly worth a vote, but that's the way ours is set up. If you have any questions on the 4 proposals that we are requesting that you approve next month?
And I'll comment that I know Sam and I looked at them and we're in full agreement with how they were. And sorry we overlooked the fact that they weren't in the package.
Well, then you did get one in the package, and that's the administrative changes. Now, on administrative changes, we put in the bylaws in 2013 as allowed by the state of Texas, that both in the bylaws and the covenants, that we could correct errors without a vote of the people. In other words, the board has the authority to correct any errors. Now, in the past, we've also included clarification as well as being an error, if something needed to be flushed out just a little bit more. I had not changed the policy that was being allowed to be approved by the board. So the first administrative change that we have, Kathy Gray and her group on the election committee looked at, as we talked about last time, we looked at the various procedures in the Article 6, where it talks about voting, and we looked at the Article 10 that talks about the committee, specifically 1003. And what we found was there's a duplication with some errors in it. So if you look at that first section, you go down and look at the existing voting in 601C, it talks about the election committee or the vote manager. They will count and supervise the counting of that ballots, tabulate and votes, and certify in writing to the secretary the outcome. Now, if you go up into the election committee 1003, it starts out just fine. It says situations where the association conducts a vote that is mailed out, then you would appoint an election committee to oversee that same process. And then the bottom, the part that I have in yellow, the bottom that tries to duplicate what's in 601. And if we learned anything over the years, when we have duplication, that's bad, because eventually you'll change something over here and you won't change it over here. And that's exactly what happened here. So it still reads, in every association member vote or election, the committee shall certify each ballot. Well, we've already clarified in the first sentence that if you have a vote manager, you don't have an election committee. So what we're recommending is we simply strike through that duplication as an administrative change. We're not changing any policy. We're just eliminating the redundancy or the duplication. And then as a caveat, we're putting voting will be accomplished in accordance with the provisions of Article 6. There are no changes to Article 6 at this point. Any question on that one? The second one simply is to change the name of the Lodge and Tavern Corporation to Lake Iowa Tavern Corporation. That just comes off the license that we have. So administratively, it's changing the name. But now the most complex one is on page 2. Voting in Lake Iowa in our documents is very complex. We have voting procedures for the covenants, which requires the majority of all lots have to approve a covenant change. We have 2 voting styles in our ballot. One is a bylaw change that requires 2/3 of the members that have voted to change the bylaw, but there are some things within the bylaws that only take the majority. So it becomes very complex. It's not a simple thing to explain to our members when we have 3 different voting styles to approve various changes. So hopefully we can get by with administrative change. And what this amounts to is in 502, the voting rights of the members, it basically said each member of the association as divided in 213 have 1 vote regardless of the number of lots owned. Well, we know now, and we've known for a long time, but that's not true in the case of a covenant ballot, covenant vote, and it's also not true in the rezoning of a lot. So what we are attempting to do to clarify that, not changing the policy, is simply saying an exception is petitioning for covenant and rezoning changes. And if we want to clarify it more, we could add that owners of each lot, well, we clarify it more by saying, by striking part of the sentence and adding some other language, just clarifies it. If you don't put it in there, it really doesn't change the policy. It simply, for someone reading this particular paragraph, explains that a ballot, a rezoning ballot and a covenant ballot must receive an affirmative vote of the majority of the privately owned lots of Lake Iowa subdivision And then there were two pieces of policy that the board approved earlier when they were discussing rezoning. The first one was the cost of the petition to rezone shall be borne by the owner. And the second one, the ballot measure shall clearly describe the limits and the boundaries of the property to be zoned. Those are decisions that you made a few months ago. So we're recommending that we flush those out in this document. The reason I say in this document, because we would typically do it in the covenants to flush that out, but the covenants we cannot change for until 2023. And the bylaws allow us to set up the procedures. And then while we're doing that, if you went down to 601, that's the last sentence there. And there's a sentence called validity of the vote. And it says in order for a voter on any matter to be valid, at least 20% of eligible voters must cast ballots. Well, that also doesn't apply with the covenants. So what we're saying there, with the exception of the covenants and rezoning, and in order for a vote on any matter to be valid, at least 20% must vote. Now that's, if I had to explain that to 50 people out here, that would be hard to do.
And so we're striking that one sentence that says, and each title holder must sign. Does that mean we can now hold a covenant vote electronically, or?
Well, that's what I'm hoping that we'll do. I'm hoping that James will tell us, right now in our covenants, it says that all owners must sign in a covenant petition, and a petition to change your covenant, all owners must sign. Well, now we're doing electronic voting, and our previous attorney has said that we could use electronic signatures. We need to eventually clarify that so that there's no question on that, but that's a year and a half from now, so it's not something we need to do tonight. The reason we struck it here is because our attorney basically said that in rezoning, each title holder didn't need to sign. That wasn't in that paragraph in the covenants. It is to change the covenant, but it wasn't in the rezoning paragraph. So if we're adding rezoning in this sentence, then we scratch the signature of both members. However, if we change the covenant, still in the covenants, that a change to a covenant requires the signature of all owners.
So let's say a husband and wife are both on the title of a property.
Yes.
We have to get them somehow to both electronically sign on the electronic vote of the covenant change.
Yeah, and I don't know how to do that. I'm sure Brian with the CAI, other associations have had this problem, and they will research that when the time comes with the CAI and with James, and we'll come up with a method of doing it. This is the last covenant change. If you see, look at all those lines at the bottom, they were for all the title holders to sign this particular covenant change. And by the way, this covenant change was the one until 2017 that attempted to change the rezoning to a 2/3 of those voting instead of the majority of owners, and it failed. So I'm just showing you, this is what it looked like when we did the last bylaw change, was every owner had it. And the election committee had to go through and make sure that everyone on the title was signed. So it was a very drawn out, complex system. So it's complex. So that's the way it's been since our original covenants are right here. There are 15 deed restrictions, and that's what the original covenants look like. I can't read those without my glasses.
And I suppose it's not in the bylaws about every title holder has to sign. It's in the covenants that says.
Correct. It is in the bylaws, when we said covenants required every title holder to sign, but now that we have rezoning, then that doesn't apply in the covenants. It doesn't apply in the bylaws, it does still apply in the covenants, doesn't change anything. This whole paragraph doesn't change a single thing in the covenants. This is simply a clarification. Correct. Yes. Yes. We're not changing the policy at all. So those are the administrative changes that we're recommending. The board has the approval or the authority to approve these, in my opinion. And,
Okay, Corky, did I hear you right, that we could still not vote on it this time, we can vote on it next month? We get it in, the changes in the communique during December for the January communique? Is that right?
no. Yes and no. In the December communique will be an article that tells the members that at the next board meeting, December the 14th, we will be discussing changes to the bylaws that they're going to be voting on. And we go ahead and spell those out in common language, what those 4 changes are. And then on December 14th, we'll make a PowerPoint presentation to discuss those 4 changes. Now, we don't need to discuss the administrative changes at that time. We can simply put those in the January communique or February communique. They wouldn't take effect until sometime in March or April. So we can add those. The bylaw says if we make those changes, we must notify our members that we've made those changes, but they won't be effective until we get ready to change our bylaws. We won't know that till the second Saturday in March, if these bylaw proposals are actually approved. And so we could put those in March, we could even put it in April to communicate. So I was just trying to get them out of the way now. That's why I was asked to place on the ballot so that we won't muddy up the water and I won't have to keep coming back. I'll come back in December, won't have to come back in January, February, if we can agree on these. If you wish to wait, I mean, you can wait till February. You know, administrative change.
You have,
What you're saying, we can wait on the administrative thing. We don't have to do that tonight.
I'd like you to do it tonight, but you don't have to do it tonight.
What's the deadline?
When we finish modifying our bylaws, when the second Saturday of March, we'll announce the results of our election. At that point, we'll take it to Brian. He'll have Leanne or whoever to retype all the changes in the bylaws. We'll then have to take it down as a dedicatory instrument. So we'll take it down and register it with the county. The day that, once we register it with the county, that's the day that they become effective. Yeah. Yeah, you would need to do this, well, in March, you have the annual meeting. So I would think that you would have to do it by February. Well, everyone has them.
right,
Yeah, I was hoping that you would get the fleshed out package with the background, the change, the ballot information, et cetera. I'll certainly send those out to you tonight. And you'll have them. And if you have any questions, shoot me an email.
but is there a problem if we don't vote on those tonight?
There's time. Just something off my shoulder.
Sorry.
Well, we wouldn't be voting tonight on the proposed changes that are going to be. We don't need to give you authority to do anything today tonight.
No,
So the only thing, you could vote tonight on the administrative changes, and that would take one thing off the plate.
yes,
And we have had that. That's what I was trying to clarify.
yes, yes.
I don't see why we can't vote on it.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the administrative changes.
I'll make the motion.
Sam moves, Steve seconds. Okay, any more comments, discussion? All in favor of all of the proposed administrative changes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. And then we'll vote on.
We're looking forward next month.
Next.
Hey, thank you very much, really appreciate it.
All right, thank you for. Let's see, we've been at it for, what, an hour and a half? Can we take a 5-minute break and come back for the facilities committee up?
Yeah.
Hey, it wasn't, I don't even know what I did to finally focus. It wouldn't focus and I finally got it.
I don't know where I can actually text or talk to my Zoom, say, hey,
Oh, yeah.
I need this or I'm missing that.
Yeah. I'm just-
Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, we're gonna reconvene here. I did have one request to move one of the items up, so one of our members can go home early, so
On the, under additional business, item 9B, Indian Creek Volunteer Fire Department, we're gonna have an update there from Denny Ingles. And Mr. Ingles is gonna give us a quick update on the situation of their request.
Thank you very much.
Is that on?
Test? There we go. Took a minute. Thank you for this opportunity and thank you for your unanimous support of our pursuit of an emergency services district. And we had 340 residents sign our petition. The petition has now been accepted by the county commissioners, and we're coming up on the point of a very, very important public hearing, which will be the final step before an election. So they have set the date of December 7th at 10 a.m. in the county commissioner's courtroom. And it's on the first floor of the county courthouse. Two members of the board have already said that they'll stop by and make some comments in regard to the fire department. We'd like to encourage as many of you as are able to please come. And we're hoping members of the community will come in some significant numbers, in part because we anticipate some resistance to the emergency services district for varying reasons. As noted earlier, we cannot sustain our current level of operations without some better way to do it, and the best way we can determine to do it is through an emergency services district. So again, it's vitally important that we have a strong show of support from the community and from the district, the fire district at large, and we would really appreciate your participation in that. And if you're willing to share some public comments, especially if you've been rescued or anything like that, we would definitely like to get with you ahead of time. And we're not sure what the process will be for making a presentation, but we would appreciate sheer numbers of people showing up. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond to that. Yes, Steve. There will be an article in the December communique, a very small front page piece asking anybody who would be willing to make a short talking point. And there'll be some backup information about emergency services districts and some of the information we've covered over the previous appearances here with you. Oh, thank you, Steve. We'll make it a point. Clark?
In the Gainesville paper, I was able to read, you had a hearing with the Commissioner's Court, I was able to read through some of that discussion that was going on at that meeting. One of the things that seemed to be, for lack of a better word,
Contentious.
in the presentation was the district boundary.
Correct.
There was very nebulous, and that apparently needs to be defined.
Right.
Has that occurred?
That has occurred multiple times. At some point, you run into what you could call due diligence. There are 4 contiguous volunteer fire departments in our fire district, and we basically had worked through and met with each of those departments individually and collectively in general meetings, and we had come to agree to disagree in some cases. Fire departments are pretty zealous about their territory, so we run into some of those kinds of issues. Bottom line, at what should have been a perfunctory issue where the judge presented the petitions that have been validated and ratified, should have just been a no-brainer to announce that they would hold a hearing. They have eventually decided to do it, but not before they insisted yet another round of clarifying the boundary line. As it happens, these fire department lines were originally just drawn relatively conveniently, mostly on road, to get into actually using them for collecting a fee for taxation, you have to go by property line. And so that's what's going on. And that's what we had done already, but they wanted further clarification. So tonight, as we speak, one of our representatives, our vice president, is meeting with 2 of the 4 fire departments. And we will hope to meet with the other, there's one other one that's really of any consequence. And we're waiting to hear from them as to when we can meet with them prior to December 7th to clarify. And the county is somewhat concerned because we will be the first emergency services district within the county. Across Texas, there are 334 of these districts within 94 different counties. But you do want the first one to have good definition, and it amounts to legal boundary definition. So we've come a long way from, even from 26 October when that headline was reported. Yeah.
It'd be fair to say that one more other fire departments I had some questions always well defined.
Yeah. And legally defined for that matter. But so one department in particular wants more land than they have, more boundaries. And just it's a matter of contention. So we're working to see if we can get a resolution. We have an oral agreement already. We're working to get a written agreement.
You got any questions for Mr. Ringel?
Thank you very much. We'll hope to see you December 7th if you can make it.
All right, thank you for being here. All right, we go back to our regular agenda order. Clark will give us an update on the pavilion.
Okay. So I think we talked last meeting that the 4 items or 5 items that I had discussed that need to be addressed have been addressed. Randy is sitting right back there. He is at punch list. And Randy's punch list is probably a lot more defined and accurate than anybody else's punch list I've ever talked about. He likes things done a certain way and likes them done well and correctly, and so his punch list grows as that occurs. From a monetary standpoint, we are within budget. However, the one thing I would tell Rich and Randy, I didn't see on either one of these spreadsheets the reserve for the 7,000 for the floor guy.
That is not on there.
Right, but it would be added to the 1,240,000, whatever, right? Which would put us, what, $2,000 into the contingency? The contingency right now is unspent.
Yeah, it would be into the contingency of $7,000.
About $2,000 is what my calculation tells me.
How much was the overall contingency?
32,000.
32,000.
32,350. And it put us $2,000 into it. Because within, and to clarify, within your package, board members, you will see the agreement we entered into with the flooring guy. And we retained $7,000. You could get a year from now, as long as the floor cleared. If the floor doesn't clear, then we wouldn't pay that. And further, item number 2 on here is that there's a couple of areas out there that where the cracks have exposed a little bit, and going to come fix them.
The 7,000 put us over that, whatever you're looking at there.
This is actual expenditure today.
But this is a holdback, something already budgeted.
It's budgeted but not spent. It's a holdback. So these are spent. Spent dollars needs to add 7 for at least a year until, it's not even a contingency. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. Hey, Randy, you want to add anything?
I think you covered, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Rich?
Good. Anybody else? Questions for Mark? You got one, Mike Brennan?
Maybe I'm in the dark. Is the third fan working yet?
Yes.
Cool, thank you.
Fans are 100% repaired.
Good news.
Lighting control system is, we're waiting for some switches that are supposed to be delivered tomorrow. But we'll do that, get those in, but then be reprogrammed, and be a whole lot more user friendly for the public.
Thank you.
I can say I've heard a lot of really good comments about what it looks like. So, great, thank you all. Golf Committee, Randy Romines. Item 1, equipment purchase, like Brian Brown, for a roller. Let's see.
And what we really need to do is, approve the donation by the MGA to buy a new green roller. There's literature in your packet of how it improves in the greens, and Brian was really excited about MGA getting the money to do it, and it's just going to help our golf course. We can do it now more frequently with less weight. He's got top of the line, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept the donation from the MGA for the new road.
What's the amount, the donation?
$10,795.
$10,795.
$795. So,
It's in your packet.
and it's something we would need then to put into our schedules for future replacement, is that right? Mark? Yep. That would do that? So we need to make sure that happens too. So do we have a motion to accept that?
Question. Is this going to get rid of the old roller?
No, he's keeping, this is a smaller one that's going to just enhance.
You don't have to trade it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the whole idea here.
Okay. All right, let's see, I guess, the motion, you want to make that motion?
Yes, make a motion to accept the donation for whatever the dollar amount was from the MGA for a new roller.
$10,795. So we have a second? Steve, any other comments, questions? All in favor of accepting the donation, say aye. Anybody opposed? The motion passes.
That footnote that'll be reflected in the November financials, that transfer that goes through. And the donation would be my guess this week or next week, and then the deal will be cut for this the same week. This is going to happen quick.
Okay, good, very good.
All right.
What's the process for making sure that gets into the our schedule?
I did it on our schedule and we will have some.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
The light term does come from John Deere. They have a recommended on this. I have a little mount for this, walked through these in 2015, and they have significant impact. Not tomorrow morning, but in a year. It's a gradual.
Can they make it where the greens go down toward the hole?
No.
I like that. I have a hunting problem. Okay, number 2, discuss and take possible action on purchase of golf carts. Golf carts. You want to address that one?
Yeah, COVID times, remember we got the workers on the golf course have a blue golf cart. We went to Golf Cart Solutions and said, hey, everybody needs to have their own golf cart for safety purposes. And we've been renting or leasing, whatever you want to look at for, how long we've been doing this now, for months. Now we've got to the point where it's probably going to be more advantageous to us to buy the carts instead of keep leasing them for another. It looks like we're going to be in COVID for another 6 to 10 months. And in your packet, there's only both sides. It showed, Brian put the numbers together, you can see that it's to our benefit to go ahead and buy the golf cart versus just keep leasing, throwing the money away, we won't have something at the end. So,
And point of order here, just that the two carts would go to Public Works and two would stay on the golf course. One on the golf course would remain as they currently are, but eventually Public Works is going to inherit them. So in terms of the GL and where it comes out of, there's a separation on who's paying for that.
That's where I was headed.
Okay?
You saw me,
I
didn't you?
did, I did.
You saw me preparing for
I
this.
did. So how are we gonna get the money for that?
Where's my, all right, currently, looking at golf, and I'm looking at what's in y'all's package, period 10/1 through 10/31, looking at the golf. Where is lease expense coming from? Which line item? Start with capital. And then, as we know, the whole golf department, from a budgetary standpoint, is almost already at break even. Where's this money, $19,000?
At least half of it, right, for golf. For about half of it. But,
Well, are we gonna charge Public Works for two of them?
Yeah.
Right now?
we already budgeted for the lease.
no, there isn't a budget on that.
There was never a budget on the lease. That's the reason I'm asking where it's coming from, because whatever funds in the chart of accounts in golf is paying that lease, we're making the difference up somewhere. It's almost break even currently, year to date.
Equipment rental.
I'm sorry to say, that's gonna be, I'm gonna have to ask Leanne, but she's the one that's been paying the.
So we need to, we can put that on our Wednesday agenda if y'all want to,
Fine.
but the board needs to understand, I gotta figure out what that funds gonna be.
So it's hard to tell from this. I don't understand. I mean, I understand if we're leasing cars, it's gonna be, you're paying a financing charge. But this is for, equipment, if we have that, certain equipment like that, it's sometimes better to lease and just have it on, expense that keeps going, because we're gonna keep golf carts forever, I guess. So, and I don't really see a comparison, a financial comparison over a few years. I don't know whether this is good or not.
Well, I
mean,
suspect it's,
paying a little bit extra to a lease might be fine. We don't have to spend a whole lot of money now, just space it out over time. But hard to tell.
So you're asking for more of a financial analysis.
That's what I would, and plus.
What is the break even, how many months? How many months can we pay for lease charges versus, pull the trigger out of buy it?
So if I could go back tomorrow morning with Brian on this, and I use the theoretical, factor in at least 6 more months of current COVID restrictions. Because someone could argue pretty easily that it could be lifted in you, you wouldn't even need it.
That's the other thing, if it's really just for COVID, then leasing would be better, because we don't need these cars in 6 months. And why would we keep leasing? It's just now that's answering how we're paying for it.
So to Brian's credit, when he brought this to me, he was thinking definitely long-term in the best interest. And as a board of directors, you guys are doing exactly what you should be doing, punching holes in it and what makes sense in the totality of the community. So this is kind of where I expected it to go. No one's hurt by this, that we need another 30 days to review it. But the reason I also put it on there is, okay, this is the department head that's thinking this through. It does have some business acumen, and I'm encouraging him to raise his hand to the golf committee, go through the channel, communication aspect, and bring it forward. So this is to some degree an exercise, but the other part is also real life. Four? Are they? I thought they were 4.
2015.
And to that point, our mechanic who was highly regarded signed off on the current conditioning, not only of the Xerxes, the wheels, and the tread life of that. So that manufacturer request for them to be certified. Because of, I think there is a time element on the certification has expired, so, right, that needs to be reviewed as well. That's part of it. So this should not go to a motion.
Okay, leasing,
We'll continue for another.
no, are the parts we're leasing, 2015 cars, the same parts?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we're just buying the same parts.
Right.
Yeah, no, we need,
But there wasn't a lease purchase option.
I think we need to know, do we need them past COVID? And if we don't, if we do, then what's the financial analysis?
Yeah, where, what month is there some type of break even?
That's a break-even point, what you're looking at.
You know, and who knows for sure on COVID, but if the break even was 4 months, I'd say, you know, probably do it, because I think we're gonna have these same restrictions forward. If it was 12 months, maybe not.
And just a little bit more of an insight to the backstory here. What Brian has identified in document, I'll be glad to share with the board, is a efficiency aspect of having individuals in their cards being able to go out to specific areas to do work rather than taking someone's number 2, I drop off the cart, and I'm going out to 14. And that's a real subtle thing that nobody, factored in and said, oh, I've got this all figured out. It was an interesting dividend that's developed from it. So yes, there's $6,000 we spend on leasing, but we picked up, and I can't give you a number, some efficiencies on the staff being out there, meeting, things like that. So just, I'd like for that to be part of the picture as we move forward.
But when just again, when you look, it says $6,000, what period was that for? I'm trying to understand and compare what is that $6,000 a day or $6,000 a month?
Yeah, you're right, that's
So
not real clear.
That's about a question, and I said, it's down, I will follow up and discuss on the.
Right. What did that Wednesday? Wednesday,
Question, Sam, fair question.
Okay, I've always been the part of the grant, or at least it's out. But if we decided that we wanted to purchase parts, do we need to have an RFP or go out? Rather than just going to one individual company, we do sometimes we do it on the part.
Well, it'd probably be purchasing the same cars, so yes,
Or brand new ones.
yeah, or, yeah. Could be.
My point is, for the amount of money we spend, we need to do an RFP on it.
Yeah, I know Doug is up in Whitesboro. He has some that he uses for events and then sells at a discount at some point after X number of use for such a thing.
And if they were newer, that figure would be higher. You're absolutely right. If they were making bids, let's review this bad boy.
We're talking about miles.
Okay, so that item is tabled. Further review. Okay, item D2, $3,200 expense for GHIN software. Is that Randy or is that Brian?
That's me. Good, Jen, Genius. What has happened now is we've started to use the Genius system. You guys that play the tournaments and stuff, it's where they get all the entries come in now, and they actually send out the pairings and scorekeeping and all the stuff with it. Well, the way it is now, it's divided up between WGA, NGA, a couple of stuff. I think the 3,200 is split up amongst all of them. Brown and the office over there would like for Genius to be a part of the POA, so they've got autonomy over it. So they could actually take and use it to, right now, everybody's having to come in and pay when they sign up for the tournament. You have to go physically sign up to pay the $15 on Saturday, or the women have. With Genius, with them, they have to be online, and with our new software with North Star, it's all integrated, it all works. If they could actually physically, you could sign up, pay your money, and it goes to your lot, and now you've eliminated all paperwork and headaches of the pro shop of trying to figure out everything. Well, that's true.
Very, the NGA, FDA has already paid for it, right, for some period of time.
1 year.
And when is that up?
Yeah, this literally doesn't say do anything tonight. This is not February or somewhere in there when it comes up. So this is for discussion tonight to see if we can do it and figure out like the part of this, where do you come up with the money? That's what you're coming up with.
I'm personally, that's my concern, we keep doing these little bit changes to the budget. And I'd rather, I mean, this was already taken on by NGA, I think they ought to stick with it until our next budget cycle, and then I'd be happy to change it.
Well, I would argue we're plus 120 right now. This is something the whole people need to make the golf community run better. That I would take a small amount. The budget is not something on concrete. It's a moving number that goes across. It's just a worksheet. It's all the budget is. We're already behind and ahead and everywhere else. So I'll argue that point. So, yeah.
This particular software package that they're using now, is it just MGA and AGA that's using?
All tournaments are using everything using.
Okay, well, I know that, like any resident, even though you're not a member of MGA, can you use it?
I don't know what you want to use it for.
Your handicap, major handicap?
No, it's not, it doesn't deal with handicaps. Well, it's integrated with the handicaps, because Jen uses with Genius. They coordinate with each other. So.
It's only if you're in the tournament.
Only in the tournament. Who puts on the tournament?
Yeah, double, now,
You have to be a member of MGA to be in the tournament.
it depends on what tournament, but most of the time.
I guess where I'm coming from is the fact that it seems like it's MGA, WGA is one pushing it, but maybe not everybody's gonna be able to, you know, be involved with it.
Depends on what everybody's talking about. We're gonna dredge the lake, but I don't get to use it either, Sam. But I'm gonna do what's good for the community.
What does Scott think about this? Our IT director.
Or Brian, what's your feeling? I'm curious.
Scott was in favor of it, the streamline. And the case that he brought up was something that came out of the Gulf Committee last week where, what happens if someone in the Gulf area comes down with COVID and we've got to shut her down and we've got to do everything manual? How do we do that? We don't even have access to some of the software. So this, in his opinion, not mine, because I don't have enough background to render opinion, the understanding of being able to have the technology to be able to do these is directly right. It's clear that there are subgroups that benefit exponentially over the general membership.
To the technology point, we're not getting any new technology. Brown already has the availability to do
No
whatever.
matter who's going to pay for it.
It's eventually who's paying for it. Without question. And Brown already has control of that. And talking
Brown doesn't have control. MGA, WGA, the couples, they come in, they're individuals, MGA uses it now, it's for
administrative.
I don't think. Yeah, Brown would be the administrative. Yeah.
My point is, and then when you start saying taking payments, I think that's what Brian's going, that doesn't happen until you get a star system, if you do. And,
Well, this is later on.
if you can't, if they already have that ability, then you can already start doing it. So, you're selling a lot of things. Not necessarily the case, what really will happen. And I think,
So, yeah, so I guess on a kind of related note, you said it has to be under the POA control in order to be able to add it to our bills. Is there some way especially once we have North Star, can we, even if MGA and WGA pay for it, can we still authorize somehow the POA?
Right now, for them to use that, there's an administrative fee. So if they wanted to use it now, it's gonna cost, when you sign up for a tournament, instead of being $15, it'd be $16.50 or whatever. Once it's integrated, if we get North Star, I know we're saying if that, you know, and it integrates, then there will not be a fee.
Oh, okay.
And it's more financial summary and all that, compared with that. It's just like, then,
But
Okay.
it's not up to, I'm not doing anything, this is for discussion, so that it won't happen until February. And I think that February 1st, I think, is when the new. So, plenty of time to get numbers, and you can go check it out, go talk to Brown, find out, you know, why he wants it, and there's all kinds of reasons. I'm hard to be the third one in line trying to explain everything.
Well, good, if you away, that's gonna be a Scott. Or I think it's gonna be good.
Oh, yeah. I would think that.
It's gonna fall under his,
Yeah.
And why don't they put the budget too, though?
there's nowhere in the budget.
Nowhere the budget on that. Matter of fact, I'm not sure we address the market problem. Doing that yet? I'll talk about future budget.
It's not in the current 12-month budget, so we're forward for next year. However, we're looking at a couple of adjustments that need to be made.
Other questions on this software issue? Okay, thank you, Andy.
Right, now the last one.
OMO.
OMO, little background, been here for 30 years, or 30 plus. Thursday mornings at first tee time, the older gentlemen have been showing up, and I'm part of that older gentleman now too. Older too. They have been showing up at 7:30 in the morning. If there were 5 or if there were 40, they would show up. Everybody put a $5 entry fee in. It draw cards, pick teams. Everybody go play their round of golf, and the top 2 teams put the money up, and they just like to, you had a little tournament every Thursday. It started out as a social, and it still was. That's the first time I played golf at Lake Kyle was when the OMO. So it's kind of dear to my heart when we're coming through it. Had a hole in one, and my 2 partners were both 90 years old. They got more to kick out of than I did. But there's Brown, since we've shut it down, and talking to Craig Lampkin in the bylaws, they've just been blocking off times like from 7:30 to 9 or whatever for the last 30 years illegally, or whatever, however you want to say it, because the board has to give permission to say, hey, Brown, you can block off that time period. It has to go, it's like approving the golf schedules and everything. It has to be done, has to be approved according. I'm just, again, giving second hand. Yep. Yeah. Well, where it comes in is the WGA on Wednesdays is under the WGA umbrella. You could put the OMO underneath the MGA umbrella, and they can block them off without having to have board approval. WGA really doesn't, I mean, the MGA really, they'll do if they have to, but they've really said, hey, I like the way it was going before. Brown doesn't feel comfortable with it because somebody's going to say, hey, you're doing stuff illegally, and he's trying to stay away from everything. That was another thing. If you had Genius, he's got it as another group that he could take and take care of signing up. Another concern is Brown with COVID times. He's worried about what happens if 80 people show up one morning. Well, now you're not having to shut the golf course down for just an hour and a half. we were talking about a shotgun start or something, because there's just too many people. 30 years, it's never happened. It's never been over 25 or 30 at the very most, and they back shotguns, the semi-shotgun start, and move everybody back on behind and start groups of one, back up to 11, 12, or 13, whatever, and an hour and a half by the time that group's down, the tee times are over. So you're not blocking up the golf course for a complete morning or day. You only block it off for an hour and a half or so. So I mean, get a complaint, yes.
I'm guessing the reason it ceased or happening was because of COVID and the $5.
Yes.
And
Yeah, COVID was the reason.
With the exchange of money, I mean, right.
Yeah.
And cards or however they're picking things, whatever, everybody's showing up at the same time.
Then the women are still doing it, they're just putting their money in a box, and they're paying out a week later when there's no COVID on the money for a week later. You know,
Quarantine for 10 days.
that's what Brown would like, some direction to the sheriff. He blocks off an hour and a half and goes back to the old mode. And I look in here, there's a number of people that played in it. And so to me, it's a part of Lake Iowa.
Right, Steve.
You know, when I got here, that's where I started doing playing over home. I met all kinds of people in Lewis, I met him, he's been a friend of mine ever since. I mean, it's an important deal, you know, that. So I'm for it. I think we should bring it back. I'm sure they're missing it a lot.
Some of them, that's the only time they play, one day a week, they're 85 years old.
Right, Jim Buck.
One.
Old man's open. I guess one of the concerns is what the group of young men that want to get together. And then the second concern with this is with COVID, difficulty in times. And one of the things I said is we put an age limit on it, because otherwise anybody's going to look at that block of time and say, well, I'll just go play that. I don't even have to make tee time. I'll just go play at that block of time. So all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of people coming that maybe isn't doing the social activity that really does it. And I've played in Omaha, and I'm saying what I learned everybody. I think it's a really important social function here with that elderly group, I guess you could say. But there's mixtures of people that go play in it, but they do that. But if it just all of a sudden becomes a block of time and people can go play, they knock out all of the people that are, you know, that was really originally intended for that group of people that were playing. So I have some concerns about how we go about this. I've been getting lots of feedback from the feedback. The problems there, the use of that system. And if we could more issues than that, if we block the time, I'm for it. I had got it too. Why can't they go through the NGA? I mean, but that's still the problem.
Yeah, it's still going to be the same. And they could, and they didn't do the MTA, it would still be legal, it's still gonna block the time. You're just saying, do you want them to be involved? Because MTA said they would put it under their umbrella, because they think it's important to have it all involved. 35 years of precedent. So,
Right, MGA is we talked about MGA being part of that, and they would plan to adopt it, but it still comes back to them, because of review. In my opinion, it's not really an old man's open.
Right.
For years. And it's really the most I've ever seen one guy. You know, whether COVID makes it change because everybody can't get a tea time, I can't answer that.
in the wintertime, it's not gonna change.
No.
Because nobody wants to get up there at 7:30 when it's 50 degrees, 45 degrees, 40. This discussion in March may be very, very valid if we're still doing this.
I think it could be treated like couple show up, I guess, but somebody would have to be physically organized.
That's kind of how that, I mean, there's a couple of scenarios, so if we do have another group, it's kind of similar in nature, it's not under WGA or MGA, but they're unable to.
They all block it off the trail. It is in the hot summertime. Nobody plays at 2 o'clock.
I mean, I've played a couple of them, I'm going to
Well, they got people to do it, they actually
they are organized groups that ones that organize and blocking the crowd.
I think, yeah, so for what Bruce McDonald and somebody else, and like they, leadership, yeah, we might know who blocks off this stuff.
I don't know. I have,
Yeah, they
haven't done
switch
that.
back here working on it. So,
Norman, perhaps.
Clark, do you have a question? Comment?
You know, and I don't want to bring another deal into this, but I'm just wondering in my back of my mind, you talking about the OMO, those are, that whole group, and I played in the OMO too, so I've got a card in the box. And so, but that's our most high-risk group. I get it, it's time for them to go back, or no, I mean, it's up to them individually, but I know we're not playing poker, okay? And the reason we're not is because of Frank Odell, and Tom Blackwell, and Bob Hay, and all those guys. I mean, they are very high risk. And so this group, as I recall, playing with them is very high risk. And I just bring that up. I mean,
We're gonna tell them I can't do it because they're too old.
I didn't say that.
and you can't catch it outside playing golf. I mean,
Well,
I-
you can, you go to change money.
Yeah, what
Oh,
can we
yeah,
do?
money's the part you got.
Right, what can we do to minimize that particular issue and how they select teams?
Well, you think, I came up with an alternative. They pay like they always do. And instead of having a cash payout, merchandise payout through Brown, after doing the tournaments, now we know money passes in.
And how about picking teams? You said they would put cards in a hat or something, or?
Yeah, but they do, nobody touches though, that's just, that's behind the counter, and everybody's name's in a box, and Brown pulls out a name of the box, and you're on this team, you're on this team, nobody ever touches anything.
Okay.
Everybody does gather in the clubhouse.
Yeah, you that's why you gotta stay outside, I think Brown didn't try to do that anyway, stay on road stuff. So, but it's no different than the NGA Saturdays.
Right.
I mean, if you're gonna use that as, that was.
And there's probably some 80-year-old people playing the MGA too, right? Pete, you have a comment?
That into consideration of the age and these individuals, why wouldn't you consider going back to what we talked about earlier, turning the flag holders upside down, taking out the ball worshipers, number of people in the golf cart? If those people are your concern, why wouldn't you think about it and do those things? Even though the government doesn't say you need to do it. It was before.
You know, my take on it is, you know, that there's less concern about the touching things now, and the more concern is focus on breathing on people right next to you. But that's kind of where I'm seeing the science is going. But I don't know. So
We're not talking, we don't decide how what we need to do with the board is rely on what the governor says to tell us what is legal or not legal, and that protects us to some degree of what the decision. But by no means are we experts. To know whether it's in the flagpole matters or not. So we tend to default to what the government.
Okay, now what we don't have here is we don't have something that's saying possibly take action. So can we give Brown just some guidance to say, go ahead and do what you can to minimize it? Is that
Like your precedent before, grandfathered in? I mean,
there? Sam's got it.
No, I played in it myself, so I know, but at the same time, do you know how many of these 20 to 25 people that play that actually like to start back playing a little bit?
Oh, you want my email?
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
And I talk to them all the time.
I'd like to see it start back up with any appropriate,
Maybe a
caution.
40-person limit or something. If you sign up, maybe put a day or two ahead of time if you have to sign up or something. I don't know.
When we can explain it, because of COVID, we can only do 10 spots.
Yeah, and it's done. Block off an hour, 10 minutes, whatever it takes to get 40 people through there and go.
I just think it needs to be a little more defined. It's always been real loose, that we need to define the rules, but I really think what, we need to get out of the house. If I'm the only thing to get out of the house for.
Yeah, I'm still confused. If somebody can go for 10 times, or I'm just like, I'm gonna say this, why do we have to be involved? I don't think those big organizations go to the other companies.
You said they could do it under MGA, right? MGA is.
Well, MJ would take the umbrella. They never had to worry about the 2 times before because Brown blocked off. It just didn't start at 2 times till 8:30,
Yeah.
whatever.
So,
It depends on it.
So I think if we did it under an MGA, which they've offered to do, that it at least eliminates one piece of the subjectivity part that Brown's worried about, right?
If they, I see, you
Well, it makes sense to me for the NBA to put it under their umbrella. That's just what occurs to me. I hear all the different arguments and all about it. But mine is, the NBA, they're ready to do it, why not?
we don't have any ladies input, but in the golf committee, half our people are ladies, and they were, get it going, because I don't want you messing with our Wednesday stuff.
Well, that's right, they play every Wednesday.
I know. So that's, they say, just do what you gotta do, and don't mess with it, we got it going like we want right now.
So my suggestion is you communicate that to Brown, let him open it up again, and then if there's anything we need to vote on, we can put it back on the agenda for next month.
That'd be perfect, I'll do that.
Right now, it sounds like we do it under the MGA, and Brown takes whatever precautions, we don't necessarily have to vote on it.
So what you just said, you're gonna tell Brown to do it, but he came in to ask us to authorize Brown.
You're confused why, and
Well,
you're saying,
you're saying give Brown the authority to do it. but-
no, what we're saying is we want the MGA to do it, because they already have the authority.
If the MGA is underneath, they want the umbrella to extend to the elderly model, and then Brown to take care of doing it like he's been doing it.
Okay.
I've wasted too much time. All right.
All right, thank you. Okay, architectural control committee, Jim Adams, we got a rule revision.
No, I don't know why that got in there.
That don't have it, no rules, okay. Anything else?
We do have a
Constitution.
Constitution.
Rich has it up on the screen. So it's lots 11, 27, and 11, 26 actually need to, are requesting a constitution, and it's so that they can build a swimming pool and add a pool house, and it will be attached to the residence. So, it'll be part of the residence, and so they needed to constitute those lots, in order to do that. And if you read our bylaws, you can see under, number 1 there, it kind of fits in all of these categories, A, B, and C, to, as reasons why, because they also will be, moving their, septic systems, so it touches on B. They're building as part of new construction, and then generally, we have the ability to do it for reasons as we see fit. So this has been before the Architectural Control Committee last month, and it was a motion by that committee to recommend approval, and I have the board approve this constitution.
Okay, and they're aware of the fee, right?
Correct. And likewise, this page, it's a handout I give to anybody who requests a constitution. I have one for the constitution as well. And the last item is the fee, which is updated for the current year.
Good, they already own both lots.
That's correct. They own both lots.
Good.
I should point out that this will not actually take place until they take out the permit for the swimming pool in the building that they're doing. But those are some steps that have to occur before it actually takes place. They're just seeking our approval to do it.
Yeah, again, it's the steps when you go back to here. Basically, the ACC reviews it, make sure all the paperwork's in order. They'll actually go to the county to get filed for the affidavit before they can actually obtain a permit to build anything. Obviously, the lots have to be combined to accomplish that. Otherwise, it'd be a violation of don't own the property line. Kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. They gotta have to get the permission and then follow through.
Okay, so you're making the motion, right?
I'll make a motion that the board approve the constitutional lots 1127 and 1126.
Okay, good. Second. Okay, any minds? Any other comments or questions for Jim? Randy Romine. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jim. Okay, I know Leanne is not here to talk about North Star. Is Kathy prepared to discuss it?
Kathy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I need a microphone. Hold on. All right, go ahead.
Okay, we've met with 3 of the out of the 4 references we were given. We've not heard from the 4th one to set up anything. I'll reach out one more time and see if that company will talk to us. Rumbling Bald Resort was the first one we spoke with, and they're the closest to being like Kiowa, and very smart, a young woman who was there throughout the project. They did do Big Bang, which, you know, is an option we can take. That's what the company North Star recommends, and this is what Rumbling Bald Resort recommend. They did not try to do any customizations to the application, which I think is the smart way to go. Most of the applications that you look at today are built on best practices, and possibly maybe some of our things that we've had to do in the way of a process, business process, we have had to, I'm sure Crystal could chime in at any point, has been very difficult with tops. So I think the less customization we do, the better off we will be. Robson Ranch, same, they were early adopters with North Star. They started in 2016 and they customized a lot. That's a very large organization with multiple locations. And for whatever reason, they felt their way was best. So they got into some challenges with all the customization they did. Ocean Pines is a really different community, not like us or Robson. And they decided to bring up one module at a time. I think that listening to what they went through, I wouldn't recommend that. If we've got the capacity, I think I would definitely say let's go at it all at the same time. In fact, I think David was going to make a trip out to Robson Ranch and look at their kitchen and how they were using the KDSs and the equipment that North Star has to offer, the point of sale, the inventory. So I don't know if he's had that opportunity, but he is going to be going out there if he hasn't already. So I think everybody walked away with what we learned is hire a project manager. And of course, I think Rich was with us when we all decided that he would be the best project manager after what he did with the pavilion. We obviously don't want to customize. We want to try to use the application as it comes. And we believe it's the right fit for us. And like I said, I've got one more reference we can try to get hold of again, but so far we've had no response from them.
Questions for Kathy on the references? Kathy, there were mixed reviews, but were they all happy they went that way?
Yeah, even the gentleman that we talked to out of Tennessee with Robson Ranch, he really handles all of the back end for all of the Robson ranches. I think there's 7, 8 locations, Texas being one of them. And so he was, his background was perfect for working with this solution, and he had done that in his past. And even though he had challenges with North Star because he wanted customization, he still recommends it, and he was given to us as a reference. And I don't think many vendors are going to give you somebody that's going to talk badly about the software or the experience. But he agrees they've grown. They've, gobbled up a lot more software and more developers. So they're in a growing plan right now. And as far as, and I would reach out to Crystal also, we have found nothing that says don't do this.
Okay, Sam's got a question.
Yeah, couple of places here, Kathy, say they're currently not traveling. What's the deal there?
Well, I asked our sales rep 2 weeks ago because I was, as we were working with Clark trying to determine how much travel, hotels, I asked him point blank, are you going to let your employees travel, or is that going to be, have to be done remote? And he said, absolutely, we're going to all our customers. So I was kind of surprised when the Ocean Pines was the one that said they're not traveling. They have, and they were at Rumbling Bald, and they've been back out there since COVID. And they have been to Tennessee with Robson Ranch. So I'm not sure why Ocean Pines, whether maybe they didn't want them to come, I don't know. But that was not what they told me 2 weeks ago, that they are still traveling to customer sites.
Clark, we're going to update our numbers. Do we have any projection on what this project manager might cost and for how long?
We made the one update 2 weeks, I guess it was, 2 weeks ago, where we added additional for travel for North Star. And then as we're talking about a project manager, Rich obviously has a full-time job, and I don't know what his capacity is going to be in order to help us with this project. And Brian, I don't know if you've had any other conversations last week or what your thoughts are about that.
We have, and we've looked at a couple of scenarios in which we can piecemeal taking some things off his plate, giving it to some other people within the organization to do, but the math didn't add up in terms of the number of hours. And I wanted to be very clear that this is not a slight on Rich's capability whatsoever. He's certainly capable of doing it to a certain degree. But if we start seeing him on Saturdays repeatedly on property working on this, work lifestyle balance for him is paramount. And one of the reasons he accepted the position is being able to have that. And he currently has that. And if we were to tax that, that's part of the equation. But if we were to tax it in a manner in which we would make it go tilt, I think that's a risk that I would not recommend for the organization, certainly for my board to consider as well. So is there a way to skinny it down to a degree? Yeah, I don't have an answer for you on that. But to Clark's number, we have a couple ballparks that are well north of 10. We heard from one organization that I know there in the Carolinas, and they had a figure of 85 for 6 months. Much larger operation, a project manager.
What was the timeline for this? I believe it was like a 12-week rollout.
Correct.
Correct, 12-week rollout, but their project manager was there for 6 months.
That, to me, it sounds like an IT thing. I assume Scott's going to be completely involved in this thing as well.
So what Kathy is saying, she's teeing this up for the board to understand there's probably another part of the equation that needs to be synthesized, analyzed, and we can't just say, well, we can't afford it. Well, let's look at what we need to do to be successful. And there'll be a dollar amount. I don't know what it is. Don't put me in the corner on that right now. But there's going to be, and that needs to be examined in the coming weeks as we get closer to moving towards it. Or is this now something that's quarter 2 or quarter 3 because we need to spend some more money to pay for it and look at this. So, but unanimously, all 3 of the references, without hesitation, all said absolutely.
Absolutely get a project manager.
Yes. Kathy, can you support that?
Oh, absolutely. But I was in an industry that required project managers on anything of any magnitude. It was not an optional program, and we had full-time project managers. So business analysts, we had all the skill sets.
So if this is going to tax Rich, do you think we have an individual within Lake Iowa that is not an employee, a member here, that has the skills to be project manager of this on an interim basis?
I've not been disappointed in anyone I've met in Lake Iowa yet.
And I have some experience in this in my career, is that I think a project manager for a project like this is important. The challenge is it's not that big of a project, but it's 12 weeks, but it's not 12 weeks contiguous. And you're going to have, and usually project managers of this type come from within the organization somehow. I know that's a little bit of a challenge for us, but they typically come from them, because if they don't, then you've got to educate the project manager on how to educate the software company. So you're spending a lot of money, passing through information. So I think we almost be a lot better off trying to backfill some of the things that we're doing and use one of our people to project manage this project and find some ways to backfill or offset those other areas.
So if it's Rich, we try to unload some of this stuff.
Right, no, I agree with everything you said. We don't want to make Rich have to do anything beyond a typical work week.
But to the point, that's really what today's presentation is to educate the rest of the board on the due diligence that she and her team have done. That, this kind of came up, and it was, we didn't solicit. Oh, did you have a project man? No, they came right out, one right after another. But to your point, Jim, it was like, well, of course we did, we're spending, you know, 100,000 or 150, yeah, I mean, it was almost a pause, like, what do you need, why are you asking?
It's really, and having, I mean, to say project manager too, really what they, I think that the companies also operate some level of project management from their project.
They are.
And really what we need to be providing is a constant source, or one source to go to person to get answers and to make sure that the answers are flowing, or, you know, coming from the organization back into the software company. I don't think there's a lot of, oh, we gotta make sure this person shows up on this date.
No,
that
no,
date,
you're absolutely right, no.
And this comes before that. The software company should be doing that. What we need is somebody who's our mouthpiece, who's the software. But that does take time.
And are we thinking it's gonna cost us some additional funds internally in terms of overtime then?
I'm thinking this is a contract employee that's not, you know, under current headcount, and you engage him for a period of time at such rate. Would?
Yes. Because we're gonna teach that person everything about.
No, I mean, someone within the community. I mean,
Well, they don't know anything about how this operation works. They go to live here. I'm on the board. I don't know how the system works.
Yeah, I thought I heard Kathy saying Rich would be the kind.
Could be, yeah.
We have, it seems like, I hope, maybe we can backfill Rich easier than we can frontfill a project.
That's what I looked at initially, and I was like, okay, we can peel this off, and then it was like, okay, so where else does that go? And it goes back to we're one short in the accounting department, and we've been banking a little bit on that payroll thing, and that probably gets resurrected.
So we put somebody
Yep.
part-time in that
Yep.
area to help.
But
Whatever you're doing, I don't know how that works with your show.
Here's some contractual services that fill either
possibly,
compliance or.
maybe it's on the accounting side. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for my board right now, but that's why I just wanted tonight to get it teed up. Okay, guys, we need to start digesting this. This is not a one-off.
And, I don't know, last time they changed over to DSX or whatever, they had that data dump. They hired a temporary employee that kind of worked for Scott, IT, data entry, then moved over to security, did a couple jobs. So you might be looking for somebody that can actually do some accounting, some float. And even if it's gonna be multiple people, maybe you hire a temp for a period of time here, a temp period of time here, and a temp period of time there to fill the gap.
Kind of a hybrid.
Okay, I see, so maybe.
That's what we've
And
been
like I said, they had
thinking
that one
about. This has just
person,
come up
but he filled in
this
for
is-
like three
This is
positions.
hot off the griddle.
Okay.
Typically, I like to have a little more laid out for the board, but it's
Right, so maybe some financial impacts.
definitely.
And so we just want to keep plowing forward at this point, and then we're not voting to accept North Star at this point. Maybe whenever Kathy's ready to make the full presentation, we
Correct,
vote later.
correct.
Okay. Update.
That's why it's on the agenda.
All right, sounds good. Anything else, Kathy?
No, I think that covers it for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item, celebration committee from Gary.
Well, I passed out some stuff, you guys. I don't know if you saw it or not. First one is a charter. We want to make a couple of changes to this. I don't know if I need your approval or not, since we're not a certified committee. But we want to change there under membership and structure. We want to get away from the group and organization operating in Lake Highland. We got clubs and all that, and we're trying to get all those done. And then down in under committee meetings, we said the committee shall meet in March of each year. We're gonna keep doing that, but we're also gonna meet the other 11 months out of the year, second Thursday, so that we don't let anything get ahead of us. We adopted that and made that recommendation Thursday when we had our meeting, and you have the minutes of that meeting. And these are all recommendations. Lodge is going to be responsible for the dinner party on New Year's Eve. I think they've done that.
Hang on, let's stick to the charter for a second here.
Oh, okay.
So, this one says adopted by the Celebration Committee 2008, approved 2009. The charter.
Okay.
So did you make some changes? Have you made changes to this?
So we just scratched out group and organization operating in Lake Howard. You weren't all what groups are out here.
What line is
Under
that?
membership and structures, the second paragraph,
Okay,
bottom of that. We're gonna represent each club, but not group or an organization.
okay, you're scratching out group and organization. You want to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Then under committee meetings, down at the bottom, A, we're gonna meet March, or we're gonna meet all 12 months.
so you want to just say meet monthly?
Yes, sir. The second Thursday of each month.
I think monthly is fine, and then y'all can pick the date, because monthly.
Yep.
And then as necessary, properly provide for schedule dates. 2 changes, right?
2 changes.
Okay,
We adopted that on November the 12th.
all right. Okay, I know this is not a committee set up by the bylaws, but apparently this charter was approved by the board of directors in 2009. So I think we should vote on this to reapprove it, right? So,
I'll make that motion.
you make that motion, Jerry, those 2 changes.
Yes, sir.
Steve seconding. Any comments, questions?
Just for clarity, the committee members will consist of a representative from.
Just scratch out group and organization.
So you know each club and whether the club.
I have got all of those.
But I want to.
Do you have a club you want to
I know, so if you're gonna do each, what are they? I mean, my point is, you might need to change the word.
Yeah.
Why don't you use the list of approved organizations from the documents that you're gonna be talking about next? No, that's fine, we have some kind of definition to that. That's my concern, is kind of defining something. It's already in the document that you approved, a list of approved organizations.
And maybe some organization doesn't have anybody, so maybe you should give a little wiggle room in there too that says that wishes to participate.
I don't think the MGA is going to want it.
I'm just wondering if you even need to do this. I mean, why do we?
I don't either. I just saw this a month ago.
Right.
I've been working on it, trying to get it together. And,
I'm just curious.
Yeah, why don't we just mark out that whole sentence? Yeah. There's no reason not to mark out that whole sentence.
right, that sounds even better.
Like every other.
You know, we have to put operating on it, Cal. Just that whole sentence.
The membership.
Okay. Any other questions, suggestions? Okay, so I guess that's a motion to amend the motion. Make that motion.
I make a motion to committee members. Representative.
Okay, we have a second to Jim's amendment. Steve, all in favor of that amendment? Say aye. All right, all in favor of the amended motion from Jerry, say aye. Steve. Steve's always a good candidate. The second man. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, okay. Now you started on the second page here.
Well, just a minute. And I don't guess y'all have to approve those.
Yeah, tell us what you're thinking.
Well, let's drop down to the third paragraph, fourth paragraph. The lodge will be responsible for the dinner party, for New Year's Eve, Valentine's, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, that sort of stuff. My committee would be responsible for, but not limited to, the 4th of July, Veterans Day, recycling and shredding, and the holiday tree lighting event coming up here real quick. But I gotta find out what we need to do to be responsible for it. And then Friends of the Lake Iowa would be responsible for the summer outdoor concert, which several dates have already been done, the plasma drive, Christmas caroling, and Kentucky Derby dinner party.
All right, good, I'm glad y'all got together to hash that out, appreciate that.
Well, we have to hash that with all of, Ms. Hare was on that committee.
Okay.
On my committee.
Right, she was there, okay. Mike Brennan?
I'm on Friends of Lake Iowa board, and the first three things you said, Jerry, were correct. The summer concerts, golf cart county, and the blood drive. There's a fourth thing, but it's not the Kentucky Derby, but what it is escapes me at the moment. The fourth thing that FOLK was going to be responsible for, you know?
Oh, no.
But it most definitely was not the Kentucky Derby event.
It's out,
Pardon?
it's out, did you say?
Yeah, that was not one of the four things FOLK was going to be responsible for.
Okay.
The first three you said are correct. No? That comes to me before the morning.
Okay, well, anyhow, y'all are talking about it, y'all will sort it out. Jim Adams?
When we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I expressed one of the concerns that I had was in this sense that the lodge was responsible for the dinner party for New Year's Eve, Valentine's, and Patrick's Day. And my concern is that we haven't changed anything since that discussion. We're still saying Brian and his team is totally in charge of that. And I think we're setting them up for failure is what we're doing. Because I think you need a community to drive those events and what they will consist of, and our committee. And maybe Brian goes and forms his own committee, which is perfectly fine. But I think we need to clarify that for Brian, because he, like I said, I mean, I was being a little absurd last time just to make a point, but if you put the wrong color flower on the table at Valentine's, you're gonna have a whole lot of ladies mad at Brian or David or somebody. And that's why the committee tries to figure out how it's separated, what kind of food we eat, what kind of music we have. We picked the wrong band, and he doesn't think who's going to catch, you know what? And that's why committee was, we were suggesting last time, I thought that's what we said, was we need to help manage those areas. Guys.
Having been involved, you can't do it, they can't do all that needs to be done.
For any of those, even just a Easter luncheon?
It's really hard because, like you said, there's a lot of expectations. And if you don't fulfill those, it's going to be not happy. You know? So I think you might want to.
Did you happen to speak with David about this?
No. Let me ask you something. Our membership and structure says that celebration committee is formed at the direction of Lake Iowa Board of Directors. The committee is co-chaired by board chair, by a board member, myself, and Brian.
Right.
So we're going to be there, but it's not our responsibility all the time.
whole community, not for 40 people that can go in and eat Easter dinner here in Fairway or all that. But I'm willing to help out. But that wasn't why I'm on. That wasn't my reason for running for the board. We asked him that of being on this committee, but that's, I'm going to have to make.
Brian, what are your thoughts on the specific things that Lodge would be responsible for?
Typically, things that fall under the social umbrella or lifestyle umbrella must be organically generated from the residents and the members that put the particular local flavor to that versus arbitrarily making someone who's a very good food and beverage manager, let's just say David, who runs the numbers well and does that, but the flair for entertaining that someone else is really good at. Now we're suddenly expanding him to this, and that makes that rubber band ridiculous and sets him up for failure, let alone the community that would be disappointed, would implode on its own weight. Really, particularly for those 1 or 2 milestone things, and post-COVID, it will be a St. Patty's Day, whatever it might be. You've got to have the genius of the core residents that are passionate about it. The team here at the Lodge are here to execute. It's not concepts and the greatest decorations and the circling ball in the middle of the ballroom sort of thing. It's going to need more. It's going to need, I've not seen successful social programming on a large scale community such as this that didn't have a driver of resident input. It's got to have that because by God, you'll be second guessed to. You know what? I've never picked a color of paint on a wall. I won't go to flower selection. I won't go anywhere near that. The genius must be from the core membership. And not just the core, the total membership, because your membership has evolved a great deal in the last couple of years on full, old, young, purple, black, whatever, and we need to listen and take that input. So this is a start. This is kind of the first step. There's going to be another step a little bit farther down the road with that. The volunteerism in a community has to be healthy to support the committees and ultimately be responsible for the board. If we tap down volunteerism on little things like this, the social things, the things that get certain people really buzzed and excited, that taps down volunteerism that will go into his committee, your committee, and golf, and finance, and all those sort of things. So we need to be cognizant that volunteerism is lifeblood of what makes a healthy lifestyle. Therefore, making governance, working company, being able to do what they need to do. So I know it kind of went off the rails a little bit there, but that's the answer. This is the first step. It's going to be further.
So you're going to address Jim's concerns as you try to.
Jim's right on. There needs to be more. That this is not an easy button answer. There's much more to it.
Okay. I might just suggest, I think it would be great. Celebration committee only events, like other events, but maybe you, as a committee, can create subcommittees that own each of these respective events that are all more complicated. And you guys, as a group, just will find subcommittees.
The 4th of July, for example, was the single largest file that Charlie shared with me. It's document after document after document. And there's a timetable in which decisions have to be made in February, March, and April. And when I mentioned that the other day, it's like, oh my God, I had no idea. I said, yeah, because he kept it really close to the vest on. Executed very well, I'm told. Put those. Come out. Think about it a little bit differently. That's your 4th of July.
Right, yeah, sure. Mike Grindle, comment?
One quick clarification. Aside from the four things that the FOLK will be still managing: the blood drive, golf cart caroling, the were concerts. The fourth thing was T-shirt sales. Just want that in the minutes. Those are the four things that they've committed to.
Yeah.
And up to piggyback off of a good idea.
Yeah. Good. All right, well, good. Thanks for the update there. I think y'all have got our input. Any further input on those? Jerry, Brian? Thank you.
No, but I was told that they're not going to go fix that flowers. The colors and all that. That's what the committee's on.
Get you some committee members that are.
We don't want you picking out flowers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, long range planning committee update, Jim Adams.
I really don't have an update from last, how quickly it got on here, I'm not sure what was expected. But after last month, we talked and, Ryan had some really good ideas and had us, take the survey back to staff and get some input on the staff, from the staff to help say how they can better serve the community too. So we're trying to incorporate some of those things. We're now down, we went through a final review, today. So it circulated one more time now to get with me and have to translate that into the system that will actually work with them. Further than that, so we finalize by January.
Any comments or questions for Jim on the survey? All right.
And what you got in your packet is the working copy with the spreadsheet that we use, and that's already been changed to other conferences.
Okay, Steve Wunderlich had one little change he wants to do on the
We have clerical error.
clarification on the document regarding committee and reservations, right?
Every other reservation area is found that there was four-hour blocks available and additional time available if there's not any interfering with anything else, we got to put it under. So that's all we do. So we need to vote on that block. That's all.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody? All right. Okay, community manager, Thanksgiving holiday office hours.
Put it on here because I just wanted to ask permission before asking for forgiveness. Would that be an issue, closing the DOA offices on Friday, the Thursday between Thanksgiving and the weekend? It was done on one or two times several years ago. It has not been done in 7 years. The traffic in the DOA office is down to 1 or 2 minutes. But before I did it, I need your historical feedback on it. So financially, it's a negative. It's not there's no savings, and there's no extra cost. It's a neutral thing. But that's one I didn't want to touch. If there was some sensitivity, I was unaware.
Okay. So the office is closed, we still have security, we still have people out working the golf course.
Well, of course, the lodge and all that. See, the impact 60.
Okay.
Is that great? Disparity among staff, some 60, are they often
Staff makes their individual choices on their respective careers. If you're going to be a line cook, you know you're not going to be able to have certain days off if you lead up to things. So it's not a union sort of mentality, and that's how we will address that.
Okay. You have any comments, questions? I think that sounds good. Okay. See, additional business. Let me start off by mentioning that our board meeting next month is not on the third Monday, we're on the second Monday. So I think we already decided that, so it's December 14th, rather than following the Christmas week. Just wanted to remind everybody of that. 16. Okay, cyber insurance. Kathy Ray, is this what this Insure Trust is from?
Kathy, do you mind if I do a little tee up on this first?
All right, Kathy, there.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Okay. My experience has been that this particular subject matter of cyber insurance for large-scale communities comes into play directly when you consider changing websites and some significant things that we're considering, such as North Star. There is no decision to be made tonight. I just want to have the board of directors aware that this is an option for them to consider. It may be one of those no-brainers, or maybe, oh, here's another couple $1,000 you don't need to spend. But it's out there, and you need to hear from an independent third party on the strengths as well as its weakness. I am not trying to sell a darn thing here. I'm just saying this is an option. I presented it with Kathy as well. I think several of you are very well versed in the need for cyber insurance on these sort of things as transactions occur. All I want to do is get it on the agenda. Think about it. It doesn't become part of the total package for North Star. I don't know. But I didn't want to come back to the board in February or March and say, oh, we need this too now, guys. And it's not a necessarily big figure, but here we are. To Jim's point, here we are, a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there, a couple thousand there, adds up. And that's all that is. It's a FYI at this point.
But as you go through this analysis of it, before I would want to approve it, I would like to better understand
Absolutely.
Our current liability. Usually it's pretty wide ranging. I know that there's probably specific areas that it excludes, but we probably have a fairly general liability policy that will cover a lot of our challenges that we might face. So I'd like to better understand what the line item system says it does, what is our current liability policy cover.
And I will address a couple of those items, in executive session, or if we don't go into executive session, as it relates to some HR issues. But insurance is one of the big ones that falls under this. And I would definitely lean into residents to help us, me in particular, on digesting and analyzing this particular subject matter, because the insurance that we have for property and casualty appears to be, in fact, being monitored, tested, vetted, and put up to bid. What we're going to talk a little bit about here in just a little bit is that not quite the case with health insurance, which is 5 times the cost.
If you read the Wall Street Journal the last 2 days, I think I've had stories on hospitals being cyber attacked where they couldn't access their data without paying, ransom. And then schools, they're going after schools now too. So it is.
We're about to make a decision.
I'm sorry. I'm not talking. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So I think, it is something that we certainly should be thinking about these days. Just whether it's insurance or just making sure we have the appropriate software to hack such things.
Sorry. To your point, that's a valid point, but we're again considering a new software company that will be placing all of our software in the cloud, and they will be responsible, and they will have the liability for those types of things. So I think we have to strongly look at the whole picture. And then there are things I've seen and heard about credit cards. Well, we hire a credit card company to cover those areas for us now. And so our liabilities are limited there because we're going through a service for that. So And this thing, we have to be real careful about getting something here that I think we're probably strongly covered for already.
You know, particularly if we go to the North Star thing.
Right.
So let's let Kathy, since this was listed under her, provide any comments she has.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, speak up.
Okay, I reviewed this, and what I haven't done is reviewed our hosting contract, our credit card contracts, and frankly, with North Star, if we're moving forward, we're going to get rid of half a dozen, maybe 8-10 contracts that we're currently under, which I also haven't reviewed. So I need to understand, you know, where we are today, where we're going. Biggest exposure typically for any company is your own employees. We have credit card devices all over the lodge and the golf course. We have open VPN, which you can't be PCI compliant in that such scenario. So we've got some exposure where we are right now. And I can map out where the exposures are, but really, once again, we're about to change our whole entire software world. And the new hosting contract, you know, would be a thing to scrutinize. I don't know what our attorney, and I assume they're in place now. Do they review these contracts? Do we review them? What is that process?
The short answer is yes, and yes on council reviewing the contracts. He's in the room right now taking notes. Absolutely. You know,
Okay,
that's
good.
to be able to answer directors' questions on redundancy and overlap. And, you know, let's make sure we're not killing ourselves with insurance premiums for crying out loud. Let's get it right.
Yep.
So I think we're at a point that we've got more homework to do before we make a decision about this and understand what we have in place right now with the overall liability insurance that the POA has. And then as we go through these individual contracts, especially on the credit card side, we need to, you know, put some more scrutiny on that side.
All right, very good. So I think it is a good time to look at that particularly, and when we're looking at North Star and what they cover.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, comments on cyber insurance? Okay, any other additional business? Think of? Okay, so we got comments from the members. We did get 3 questions that were sent in. James Lingholm, lot number 73, asked, have we considered making motor vehicle traffic yield to golf carts? With increased traffic, especially guests and contractors, I think it makes sense to give right away to the smaller vehicle. And many golf course communities do this for safety. So I ran this by Sam, head of security and safety committee. So what are your thoughts?
What I'd like to do is really not respond, but put it on the agenda for the Safety and Security Committee. And we will review and we'll look at other communities as to how they handle it. You know, I looked at one of the villages in Florida, which is a very large community. They spell out how they do it, but I prefer to let the Safety and Security Committee, we'll have it for our next meeting, discuss it, and I'll come back to the board and with this individual, and let them know what we respond to.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Next one is from Tommy Patterson, lot 1734. Says they are new to Lake Kiowa. What is the process or plan for lake dredging? So we're in the process of collecting money each month from each member that was voted on just a few months ago. We accrue those funds. The first agenda item in the plan of the Lake Management Committee, I believe, is to clean out silt ponds. So we have 2 currently, and I guess, sort of one on the other side of Low Water Crossing 1, right? Agreed?
It's on the other side of one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not the same
it's a little
side.
different from,
Yeah, blocked off with one.
but yeah, so it could be planned out too, right? So, and then as the funds accrue, probably every other year, we're looking at, silt removal from a cove. So every couple of years, we clean out another cove is the thought. So no current plans for dredging out in the middle of the lake. So, they also ask any plans to upgrade the bar and patio of the lodge. Well, actually, that was done, I want to say maybe 4 years ago, 4 years ago now. So there are no current plans for further expansions of the bar and the patio. And then they also ask about TVs out on the patios. Brian's looking at that right now. You want to give us an update, what you're thinking?
Just the update is, the ability to do it is not difficult. It's making sure we have the justification of spending the money, either it's a non-budgeted item or where does that come from, and how that can happen. It's a comment I hear routinely, and I'm cautious not to overreact to just comments that come percolating up, because that is your Achilles heel as a new manager to be walking with the, or we get that new guy, we're recording him and you're getting, pink flamingos in the front yard. So it's not going to be a Brian decision, trust me. It's going to be coming through appropriation planning or whatever, you get it done right. But yes, on weekends with games, things going on.
Okay, so yeah.
Not an unreasonable request.
Yeah.
The residents are not asking for ridiculous things with that.
Right, so they're not the only one thinking about it. So
And I've been approached by one organization considering a donation.
Oh, good.
So
Donations are always great.
Yeah.
The third question we had was from Bruce McDonald, lot 1607, about the Old Men's Open. So we already addressed that. So I think we should be good there. I'm going to see if anybody in the audience has any comments or questions. Randy Howell? No way.
Randy Howell, Lot 1014. I never come here with questions, I always just have them after I'm finished. A comment or thought regarding Mark Path only. That it's something that really bothers me even when we're on Mark Path, not on Mark Path only now, even in my group of guys that I play with, when I'm following somebody on a straight park path, in 5 seconds to a two-wheeled off of concrete on this side, 5 seconds to later over here. They're all anyway. They're always anyway. It doesn't work. What I would like to see is when we do go to park paths only, some handout or something to give common sense ideas so people know proper way to do things. Because notoriously, when you're playing four or five, the first guy out is the shortest drive, and he's on the farther side of the fairway. He stops, where everybody else goes around him to go all on down another 50 yards to their ball anyway. If it's just common sense and whoever that first guy is that stops for his ball gets off the ball, where everybody else drives straight on through. That way you don't have 3 or 4 cars getting off the cart path to get around it. Yes, one car gets off that, okay? And that's just common sense things that we need to figure out some way to educate the golfers. Please keep this in mind. You know, some kind of pamphlet or something, we want to do a cart path only with. Like when we were having check-ins for the tea time, originally we had volunteers doing. Someone there for the first week, 2 weeks, handing out pamphlet. Be sure to follow these guidelines when the cart path on. Something to be creative and educated. I mean, it's just common sense stuff that we don't think about. And lastly, 2 things to comment. Lastly, Me personally, I would strongly recommend this board to do a lot of thought and deep research into the guard shack in combination with what y'all touch base with on the property that's for sale at this point right now. Because I think that that's a prime opportunity for the good of this community that could be completely redeveloped, redesigned. The one comment, I don't remember who said it earlier, there would not be a need for guard shack. We could have 2 lanes for members to come in and out of. And if we own that other property where our, next to our parking lot, et cetera, POA facility could be there, a visitor center / office / security. The guests can exit and go in there, go through the true guard shack, it should be attached to the building, et cetera, whatever, and back onto our road and off. So before we spend a great amount of money for a new guard shack, if the opportunity is there, I would strongly recommend y'all think about that and look into that before we pull the trigger on things that may be better off not pulling the trigger. Okay? Appreciate that. And I know a prime example is what we're setting in, because when we expanded the patio, which I love the patio, we've always needed a patio, but I strongly recommend that back then, don't do that patio until you develop, refigure the lodge itself. But when we went ahead and did that first, then we tied in, we had to stick to the same footprint we had. We could have gone out an extra 5, 10, 15 feet with the lodge, if we could refigure the back side of the eating area and the bar area, then did it for this. So just think about that heavily before y'all make any serious decisions. Okay, thank you.
All right, so appreciate your input. So we are going to go into executive session. So we need a motion to go out of regular session into executive session. Steve, make a motion. Do we have a second? Second, Sam. Okay, all in favor of going into executive session, say aye. Okay. All right. Take a break if you want while we clear out the room, and we got to shut down the video and stuff like that.